There we go. Wow, that took way longer than it ever should have to go live. Sorry about that, anybody that was waiting. I tried having one of these kind of prepped up here. Wait for some people to get in here. Always kind of stinks when I have one set up and then it doesn't work, so you guys don't get notified until afterwards. So sorry about that. We are 15 minutes late to the start of this. What's up, everybody who's now joining in? Matt, good to have you, brother. Sorry about the wait. Those of you guys that have been waiting, I've been trying to get this set up for the last 25 minutes here to actually be able to do this. Truck Guy Joe, how you doing, brother? Always good to have you in here. Truck Guy Joe. Everyone check out his channel. Good friend of mine. He's just awesome. Joe, we got to meet up this year. I kind of wasn't around anything last year. That kind of sucked. But so one of the things I want to talk about tonight, guys, especially once the crowd kind of comes in here, normally we get an influx of people here shortly, is the differences between the 6.0 Powerstroke, which has essentially built this channel, and the 6.7 Powerstroke that is currently on the channel. Don't worry, the 6.0 has not gone anywhere. The 6-liter will be back. There will be an update as soon as I can. James, good to have you, brother. But the 6-liter, again, like I said, has essentially built this channel. We have a 6.7 now that we're going to start doing some work on, start modifying. Excuse me. Anyway, so we want to kind of compare the two. We got a modified 6-liter on the channel and a soon-to-be modified 6.7 on the channel. And the builds are going to go in very different directions, especially going forward. James, that's awesome. I know that 6-liter has been quite a work in progress for you, and definitely hasn't been quick. I hear you on that. I'm missing my 6-liter, so I know what it's like to miss your 6-liter. Maybe not quite as long as you have, but I do get the feeling. So some of the things I want to talk about is the differences between the trucks and where maybe a build might go for each direction. Again, we're talking, gosh, 10-year difference, all but 10 years difference in advancements in the diesel market of engine building, injection systems. It's pretty crazy to see how far they've come. What's up, Ryan? How you doing, brother? Good to have you here. Always got to have a drink for these live streams. So I've been trying to pick times that are better for you guys for the live streams. And those of you guys that are in here, if you have questions or anything, you feel free to start dropping them. James, I don't know where Bloke is. He's been out of commission for a while. Chris, good to have you, man. So again, as you guys have questions, drop them. I'll answer them. I want to see, before we really get into the meat of 6.0 Powerstroke versus 6.7 Powerstroke, I want to see if we can get a few more people in here first. But once we get some more people in here, we're going to start talking about differences, and there's quite a few. And we're really talking engine transmission setups. We're not going to necessarily talk rated towing numbers or anything like that. One, there's huge differences from 6-liter early to 6-liter late. Plus, then there's other differences in the 6.7. The 6.7's almost been around. Well, no, 6.7's been around for a decade now. That's crazy to think. We haven't seen Ford use essentially the same engine for a decade since the 7.3. So that's kind of cool to see. I didn't think about that till just now. So anyway, guys, any questions on stuff? Anything you want to see on the channel? Like I said, I want to get a few more people in here before we really start into the meat of what I want to tonight. So any questions, guys, drop them, whether that's requests for the channel or things you want to say or see. Let's hear them. This is your guys' court here. You guys are killing me. You're slow tonight. Well, I guess we'll just kind of start talking about stuff. So the 6.7. Oh, Nick, you have me there all day. 6.06. I miss the sound of the 6-liter. I will say this. It's really nice in the 6.7 how quiet it is sometimes. Just when you're driving to work, how quiet the cab is. If I could have the cab as quiet as it is, but the exterior sound like the way my 6-liter did, that would be amazing. Put your window down, be able to hear the whistle and the sound of the truck. Put your window up, and you hear nothing. I shouldn't say you hear nothing. The 6.7 does still sound like a diesel, but it definitely lacks the quality sound the 6-liter has. I do miss it. Even the 6.7, when they're done up, they still don't sound as good. In fact, I'll say a Duramax actually typically sounds better than a 6.7 does. The Duramax can have an insanely loud whistle that I love. But 6.7, third place, not too terrible. Charlie, good to have you in here, man. If you want to learn about 6 liters, this is the channel to be at. And Charlie, I'm not sure if I don't remember seeing you in live streams before, so I do have kind of a content base I want to talk about today, which I don't typically. So that's kind of new. But if you have questions, just seriously drop them down there, and I will answer them. As the comment section typically leads these live streams, as people get comfortable, start asking questions. I tend to focus more on that than I do the content that I plan to talk about. So seriously, drop your comments down there and questions you have. I will answer them to the best of my ability. And if I can't answer them, I will let you know and try to research that a little bit. I actually even have pen and paper here to take video requests down of things you guys might want to see. So we'll see here. Chris, you'll buy a 6.7. Makes it sound as good as a 6-liter. I don't see that ever happening, so I don't think you're going to get one. The 6.7 is kind of the natural progression of things, guys. The 6-liter is a great engine. And typically, there's only 2 years that the 6.4 was out there. So you really can't, there isn't much there. There was issues. They didn't fix the issues over time, and they never really were given the chance to. Granted, I don't think International would have if they were given the opportunity to fix the issues with the 6.4. I just don't think they would. But so the 6.7 is kind of the next step for guys getting out of their 6 liters, and that's kind of lent itself to why I purchased it as well. And but at the same time, the 6-liter is still a relevant platform. Nobody can deny that. I got to tell you, I've towed my camper with a 6-liter and a 6.6 LML Duramax. Now, my 6-liter obviously modified. The LML was completely stock. But, there's pros and cons to each. I believe the LML is still a 6-speed transmission. I'll have to look that up. If one of you guys can look that up, is the LML Duramax a 6-speed transmission? I believe it is. Let's see here. Andrew, I haven't heard a deleted L5P, but if I had to guess, I bet they sound pretty awesome. I know deleted LMLs sound pretty awesome, so the L5P I'm sure does too. 6.7 sounds like a Prius. In factory form, a 6.7 isn't much louder than a Prius. That is true. Ryan, what is your issue with your glow plugs? I'm going to assume that you are one of the 6-liter guys, if I remember correctly. So there's a few different things with the glow plugs on the 6-liter Powerstroke. It's not like the 7.3s that had a relay in there too. So you had your control module, then you had a relay in your glow plugs on a 7.3. On a 6-liter, it's just the control module. And if you have 1 or 2 out and you have an older module, I would probably just replace that. They're like $125 from Ford. I've not had luck with online ones. I did try that once, but I have a glow plug that's giving me issues on my 6-liter as well. But it's sending off a check engine light. Drives me nuts, especially because it's new harnesses. I can't figure out what's wrong with it. But the for you, I'd probably, if it's just one, I would say it could be a glow plug, could be a harness, it could be the module. I'd probably start with the module because they do go bad. That is a thing that happens. It's super easy on the passenger valve cover. It's like 2-3 bolts and 2 big connectors. Pull them out, put the new one in. Not too bad to do. If you have somebody that has another 6-liter that'll let you take theirs off, you can just plug it in and see if it's giving you the same issue as well before you go out and buy the control module. That can help limit it down. Let's see here. All right. First time I do have one, but carry on and I'll type it in later. Well, Charlie, as you're ready, man, just throw it out there. I am here to help. That's part of what I love about these live streams. It gives you guys a great chance to interact with me and ask me questions in real time, as opposed to waiting to me respond on videos or such. And it's fun. It's just a different way. Not all content creators do live streams in this. I'm not saying I'm the only one doing it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not super common for the auto vlog people to be doing it. So I think it's kind of fun to do it and give you guys a different avenue that other people aren't necessarily doing. So, and they're fun for me. It really is. These are a blast for me. So Charlie, as you're ready, drop it down there. I am here to help, man. Let's see here. 6.4 could put down some good power. That being said, if you delete a 6.4, you're talking 550. You delete a 6.7, well, the 15s are newer, and you're at 580, 590. So there is definitely a step up. The early ones, not so much. You need a turbo, CP 4.2 pump to get into that realm. So otherwise, I think the early ones top out rear wheel horsepower about 500 or so, a little less. I like my truck to sound obnoxious. Yes, and you know what I've learned is there's times I really like the obnoxious sound. There's times I can just appreciate a quiet ride to work. That's just kind of where I'm at, but I do like both back and forth here. LML's a 6-speed, so yeah. I'm a big fan of more gears in my transmission. I could tell, I was pretty certain it was a 6-speed, but I couldn't remember. It's been a little bit since I drove that truck. I didn't think one extra gear over a 6.0 would make a big difference, but I really do enjoy having 6 gears. So let's see here, 160,000 on your 6-liter, nice. Factory injectors, oil cooler. Man, your 6-liter is running pretty good, dude. I definitely see over 200 degrees engine temp on my 6-liter, but even factory, I tow a fair amount. Don't get me wrong. Camper's about 13,000, 12.5, 13,000, somewhere in there. My 6-liter is an 04. Josh's is also an 04. Now I have an early 04, so it has an 03 engine. Excuse me. Josh has a late 04, so it's got all the upgraded parts on it. I did not see the 6.0 on Justin's channel. Justin's a nice guy. I've talked to him in person a few times. Super cool guy. Black Mamba. I am still running stock gears in both trucks. I assume you're referencing the 6.0, but yeah, I'm running stock gears in it. And that's one thing. Towing with 35s in stock gears, at least towing heavy on a 6-liter with stock gears with bigger tires, it's kind of a pain in the butt. You want to run, your truck wants to run a gear out a little bit, or it's just under it. If I was going to keep towing with 35s, I'd probably go to 410s, which a 35-inch tire and 410s will give you a roughly the same end drive ratio as a stock size tire and the 373 gears. It's not exact, but it's really, really close. So for towing, it would help when you're on highway speeds instead of winding a gear out or being under your turbo. And now for my truck also, that was running the Power Max that I had that issue. It still did really good. But with the Power Max turbo, so you have a larger turbo, so it takes more to move it. And you also have bigger tires, so you're not as high in your RPM band. It was very easy to get under my turbo. Again, the truck did great. But if I was going to keep towing with those 35s, I'd probably look at 410 gears. And from my research, that shows that that's roughly the factory drive ratio, and that's all I was looking for. The truck made plenty of power. I didn't need any more power to get the job done. I just needed it to be a little more on top of the turbo than it was at highway speeds. Otherwise, I had to be at it ended up being like 80 miles an hour for the truck to be right where it needed to be to cruise nice. Miles per gallon on my 6-liter. So the last time I checked it, we're both on Windrunner Performance Engineering tow tune and his race tune. The tow tune I could get 17 out of, and the race tune I was getting 15 miles per gallon out of it. Now that was cruising around town, going back and forth to work, back and forth to the gym. So that wasn't a highway speed, and that was on a slightly smaller and narrower tire than I have now. Right now, the truck has 35 12.5s with a 20-inch wheel. That was an 18-inch wheel. It was like 34.2 32 or 34.4, something like that, and 11.5 wide. And the wheel was narrower. The wheel was only 9 inch instead of a 10 wide that's on it now. So little bit different setup. I would expect to lose some of that with the larger turbo I have on it now and the added weight of the wheels and tires. I know I'm getting a few. On 37-inch tires, Black Mamba, I would be looking at 430 gears or 433, whatever the gear size is for that. I'd be looking in that. Again, I'd be looking for that, essentially the factory drive ratio for a 6-liter. That's one of the perks to the newer trucks, having an extra gear. That extra gear helps in that area and be able to control your RPM and speed a little bit better. Now the 2020s are coming with a 10 speed. You know, essentially you're starting to eliminate the reason to need to re-gear because you have so many gear options in the truck as is. But yeah, on 37s, if I wanted to tow, especially anything like decent, I'm sure if you had 3,000 to 5,000 pounds, you probably barely still feel it back there. But if you're talking 10, 12,000 pounds, I would be looking to be close to that factory gear ratio, and I'd be looking at 430s with 37s. In my opinion, I'm no expert in that area, so don't get me wrong there, but that's just what I would be considering would be a 430. 6 liters, another 3, just struggling to start when it's cold. Smoke smells like diesel when it does fire up, but so Ryan, get no check engine lights, nothing. So does it continue to smoke does it continue to smoke once it starts? If it's giving you a hard time, the reason it's going to smoke initially is because it's dumping fuel into the cylinders still. But after it starts up and the smoke clears, is it still giving you issues? And have you checked ICP versus IPR while cranking? Ordering fuel light continuous comes on as I've changed filters and emptied the tank. Runs fine until it's in 5th and barely on fuel. It shutters, mash fuel down, it goes away. That SRT dude, do you have any way to check fuel pressure to know what you're getting in there? I'd want to check fuel pressure on that setup. And I mean, it could just be a faulty sensor. It's pretty common. Are you draining the water separator? They do have a tendency to go bad on the 6 liters to get that little nut out. But I would definitely drain that. I know you said you did your filters, but check there. I do have TSD tunes. Oh, I lie. I have one. I have their SPD tune, and it does pretty good. It's kind of in between. So my favorite daily driving tunes for the 6-liter are Windrunner Performance Engineering. They're just very polished, very finished, and I get great miles out of it. They're still fun to drive, and I still get great miles per gallon out of it. So that's what I love about them. And it's low on smoke. The TSD is kind of in between Windrunner, because Windrunner, you're not talking all-out performance. So it's not making the most horsepower. He says that in his tune when you go to buy his tunes, but they're just really good, finished, polished tunes. I love them. Then there's kind of TSD that definitely has more power to it. There's more smoke output, but it's not quite as over the top as Ultimate X is from Innovative Diesel. So as far as making power, I'd say Windrunner is the least, TSD is the second most, and Innovative Diesel is the most. So at the drag strip, Innovative Diesel is my favorite to run so far. TSD is kind of a nice middle ground. Windrunner Performance is definitely making less power. It's going to be slower, but for driving on the street or towing, it is my it's my favorite. I will always recommend them for people because there seems to be trade-offs with the other one. The trade-off with Windrunner Performance, you're not making quite as much power, but everything else about it is a much better setup, in my opinion. It's all what you're looking for. If you're going to spend all your time at the track, Innovative Diesel. If you're going to race regularly, don't want to switch tunes out, but want some good drivability through town, TSD. If you have zero intention of going to the track and your truck's going to be hooked up to a trailer 3-4 days a week, Windrunner Performance all the way. Let me see here. I'm getting behind on some comments. TSD is definitely good tunes. I'm not going to say they're the best because I think all tunes, there's always a trade-off somewhere for tunes. TSD makes very good tunes, though, that being said. And Chris, thank you for your help with the water and fuel situation there. Let's see here. I have all factory parts, 6L, 35, stock wheels. I would recommend, I get about 13 to 15 out of TSD is what I was getting on my 35s. If you're looking for good power and great fuel economy, in my experience, Windrunner Performance is hands down the best tune for that. You're going to love it. It's going to be very drivable, but the transmission shifting's on point. It still makes good power, and the fuel economy is there. If you drive responsibly, if you're looking for good miles, if you drive responsibly, you're going to get 15 to 17 probably. At least that's been my experience on not quite a 35, but like I said, it was like a 34 and a 34.4-ish on like 11 and a half, 11.3 inch wheel. WPE is Windrunner Performance Engineering. You can reach him on Facebook. And I'm not associated with any of these tuners, guys. I have no tuning company that is associated with me. I'm not paid for anything, and I've purchased all the tunes I've reviewed so far, and those are hands down. That's the order I'd have. I do plan to eventually do a pretty comprehensive review of all these tunes. Basically, what I'd like to eventually do is have Josh's truck for reviewing tow tunes, and the white truck when it's back on the channel for reviewing street and race tunes is the end goal. We'll see if it happens, but that's the end goal. Ryan, I don't know if you're still in here, but you're seriously going to take your woman out instead of hang out with us. Some people, priorities. No, man, thank you for coming in, man. Have a great day. Have a good time at dinner, brother. Stay away from ID tunes. Horrible for transmission. Chris, it's funny you bring that up because I will say the thing I dislike most about Innovative Diesel is the only time I feel the transmission is working perfectly is when I am to the floor hauling you-know-what down the track. Other than that, around town, I can't stand it. I really can't. Their tunes, like I said, definitely make the most power in my opinion. But I haven't heard that they necessarily eat transmissions. I've heard like one or two guys say that, but there's one or two guys that say gearhead killed their engine too. You know, that'd be like me blaming TSD for my truck sitting over at the shop when it's something dumb that happened, a mechanical failure that's nobody's fault. Let's see here. Ported intake manifolds. I love them on the 6-liter. The factory one is super, super restrictive. I want to cut a factory one open and clean it out and do it up for Josh's truck. I think that'd be cool. I don't know if he would be into that, but I think it'd be cool to not delete. We don't recommend deleting stuff at all, ever. Anyway, so to remove the coolant route system through the intake, take that out and smooth the whole passage out and install it in there. But I run an O-Dog on my truck, their S3R, and I love it. It's a little tricky to install. Go check the videos out that I've done on that. Robert, good to have you, brother. I have videos out on how I install it, how I do it, kind of a little trick of how I get it in there, because it can be a little bit of a bear if you haven't done it before, but my way of doing it seems to work pretty good. But definitely by no means necessity to do it that way, but in my opinion, it makes it a little nicer. Let's see here. So Chris, I never updated my tunes the only updated tunes I got for the current setup on the truck was TSD. I ran the TSD tunes on it, and it ran good. It just didn't run as nice as I wanted. Like I said, it was kind of a middle ground. It didn't make as much power as I got with the Ultimate X. And it's not that I felt that Innovative Diesel was hard on my transmission. It's just that it seems to want to hold gear. Like, it's not really as streetable as I would like. I hated their toe tune. I do think they're good guys, though. I mean, I got emails on Sundays for tune revisions and stuff. They will work with you on certain things. If I was going to get tunes from them, though, I would stick to street or their all-out race tune, the Ultimate X, if they're still offering that. But it was definitely my least favorite daily tune, but hands down the fastest. I want to say not even close, but TSD and Ultimate X are probably within, 0.3 of a second of each other. If I had to guess, I have nothing to back that statement up. Just being honest with you guys, nothing to back that statement up. Let's see here. Surging at idle, occasionally bog as low as 500 RPM, no pedal response, but will come back on its own, no codes. Guessing ICP. So, Charlie, my question here is, Charlie, are you running any tunes? Are you talking factory tuning on your truck? Is my first question. Because I did run into, not so much surging, but I did run into some issues with no throttle response at like an idle initially. Then it would kick in. Factory tuning. So when your truck is, after your truck is warmed up, is it still doing it? Or is it typically like when you first get in the truck, it's still kind of cold, you go, you hit the pedal and it doesn't do anything? For the toe tune and street tune, so the toe tune, I did ask him once, and if you're talking a relatively factory setup, his toe tune was, I think he said he rates it around 70 horsepower, 60 to 70, I believe. So talking real numbers, you're talking about 320 to 340-ish, somewhere in there, give or take, depending on the overall health of your engine, all the time. So I would definitely monitor ICP, but I have heard of people having issues with the pedal because it's like an electronic piece in there. I have heard of people having issues with that. So I would kind of investigate that a little bit and see if that's not your issue. You could, if it's ICP giving you the issue, unplug it. I mean, I would be monitoring to see, maybe the top sensor on the pedal can cause it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I've heard. It doesn't sound ICP related, in my opinion, from what you're initially saying. But if it's the sensor going bad, typically you'll have a no start condition. Whereas you're saying the surging is a little goofy to me. So I would bring up your ICP in both. What are you using to monitor, Charlie? Anything? Because otherwise what I'm about to say isn't very helpful at all. And I don't want to just say stuff without exhaust back pressure. Anyone here running the Edge EAS competition kit for monitoring? Chris, I don't have the full kit. I have stuff, but I haven't had a chance to. I'm actually about to switch the Edge monitor to the 6.7 while the 6 liter's in the shop. And then I'll probably buy a second monitoring solution for the 6 liter after I have it in there. Try running a non-VG turbo. I'm running a... I know everybody does love the non-VGT stuff. In my opinion, if you're not going to go to a pretty big injector, it's kind of a waste of time. Just my opinion. I'm not saying they're not fun, and you can get them to do pretty well with drivability and everything. But at the end of the day, you're still sacrificing a level of drivability. And even if you went to a 363, it's still a decent sized turbo. It's still great power, but you still got to spool it. I think VGT to about 550 to 600 is kind of the 600 being, if you're talking practical daily use, a 6 liter can run up to 600 horsepower. 600 horsepower practically, still throwing a toe tune in tow. After that, I think is where you need to be getting into non-VGTs. I think if you're looking at non-VGT turbos, you should be at least at is it 225 injector, 250 cc injector with like 75% nozzles. And I think that, and you should be starting, I think the perk of a non-VGT really starts at a 369 in my opinion, for what that's worth in the research I've done. That being said, there is something to a big turbo with a little bit of lag, and then it finally spools and sends you back in your seat, takes off like a rocket ship. That's good time. So, excuse me. But Charlie, so you don't have anything to monitor. So your cheapest way, I have a video out where I talk about Torque Pro. I think it's in like 2 videos technically. And all you need is an Android app. Forescan's another one. Forescan's a good one as well. And cheap OBD2 Bluetooth sensor you can get off Amazon, like $10. I believe I have affiliate links to it in the video, what to look for when buying a 6.0 Powerstroke. That's the video that I talk roughly about things to monitor and everything. And what you want to look for is you want to look for your ICP. You want to look for voltage and pressure. And then you want to, because, well, no, you're on factory tuning. You can just check PSI. So you can just check PSI and then your IPR, which is measured in a percentage. And you want to compare them. When you go to press down on your pedal, you want to see if they do anything. And my guess is that they don't. If you unplug your ICP sensor, say it was bad, if you unplug that, what it will do is it will go to an inferred value, meaning it'll pick a value that it should based on a healthy system and a healthy IPR and high pressure oil pump spent essentially. And you should see it change then. My guess is that the sensor on the pedal is your issue, and I would probably look at replacing that. There's very few times I want to throw stuff at trucks. If it was doing it when it was cold, I've had aftermarket tuning kind of mess with it a little bit. That was one issue I had with Innovative Diesel when it was the injectors were getting older and it was commanding them to basically work at their maximum. They didn't like that at all. They hated that actually. So I've had issues with those things. I want to say I would be looking at that sensor on the pedal, in my opinion. Excuse me. Sorry, I don't know why I'm burping so much tonight. I guess the soda is not helping. Try running. Been eyeing the EAS kit only because I have an SCT2. Chris, I love my CTS2. It's awesome. And I don't think you'd be disappointed with it. I'm not aware of any other kit that allows you to do as much as that kit does. Phone's making noises over here, guys. Nothing important that we're going to take care of right now. Charlie, no problem, man. That is one of the big parts of this channel, is helping out the community. I love having this community. One thing I actually want to do, one of the things I was thinking about doing is starting a Facebook page for the community. And not just, basically, there's a lot of really good diesel channels out there that are helpful. There's a lot of diesel channels that are, primarily just entertainment, not knocking them because they're more successful than me. 2, there's nothing wrong with just being entertainment. But for the channels that do have a lot of fixing stuff, I like them, and I'd like to actually start a Facebook page for the truck channels of YouTube that help people fix stuff, and try to bring as many creators into that as I can and kind of help them. I probably can't really help them. They'd probably help me more, but bring all that stuff to one area for people and kind of help create a even larger community to help one another. So something I'm considering. It'd be a little bit of work, so I haven't done it yet, but it is something that I am looking at maybe trying to start in the near future. It is funny, through this platform, I have these ideas that come up that I'm like, 2 years ago when this all started, I wouldn't have even thought that I'd want to try to do something like that. But I think it'd be good for you guys. And at the end of the day, that's who I want to benefit. Robert with the "what oil do I use" question. He the greatest question of all time. So we'll start with part one of your question here. I do not have any anti-theft stuff on the truck. At the end of the day, the door handles of these things are plastic, and if you want to break through, you can break through. Now, the Jimmy, I think it's the Jimmy Jammer, is the one that puts like a metal plate behind that's not going to let people break in. But no, I don't really have anything for that. There is a way to make a 6-liter that's a pain in the butt to make it start that I do know of. And I don't want to disclose it here in such a public platform, but there is a way to make it hard to do and make it a pain in the butt. Criminals are going to try to be in and out as quick as possible. If anything involves trying to diagnose why the truck isn't starting, they're going to walk away. I use a Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson will do, a Glock. Actually, one of my next guns, I want to have a Smith & Wesson. If everybody wants to quick look at Rippon's comment, I don't want to say it. And in the next minute, I'm going to remove it so nobody else can see it. If somebody were to look back on this live stream, I'm not going to say it out loud, but he's telling you the answer down in the corner. So everybody, please take a look at that. Rippon, what's up, brother? How the heck are you doing? I mean, understandable. Okay, so you guys get the picture down there. We're gonna take that off in case anybody comes and looks. That being said, most criminals, if the truck doesn't start, they're not going to like really mess with it, you know. Rippon, I want a beer. I'm going to come down and have a beer with you, brother. To answer the second part about the oil, I typically run Motorcraft oil in the truck. Ford has a list of approved oils on there. Now, everybody wants to talk Rotella. I don't know if that's where you were getting at, but it seems like everybody has this big thing for Rotella. I used to really like it too. After speaking with Warren Diesel, one thing they said is that they've seen the most failures with Rotella T6. So I do try to keep that in mind. I've not run Rotella T6 since then. I believe the 6.7 currently has Rotella. I think that's what T4. I think that's what Greg keeps in stock. And I had him change the oil on the 6.7 last. I am going to be doing that soon because we are going to we're going to be putting the MagTech lower oil pan on the truck soon. Super excited about that. Kind of the first real mod to the 6.7. Not really a huge deal, but I am excited to put it on nonetheless. But dude, you can't go wrong with Motorcraft. Seriously, that's kind of how it is. Just can't go wrong with it. I'd like to try Schaefer's at some point. I hear really good things about that. But I think oil's at a point where it all does well enough that it's kind of, if you're buying a quality oil, you're probably going to be fine. There's people that swear by T6 that have used it for 200,000+ miles and haven't lost an injector. There's other people that have issues with it. I think the big thing is making sure you're not running your oil changes too long on a 6-liter. That I think is the biggest thing, that you're putting a Ford Motorcraft oil filter in, and that you're turning around and making sure that you do your oil changes regularly, and you're not waiting around or trying to save a couple bucks. I know there's the who's the company everybody sends the oil sample out to? I'm not saying you can't push oil changes further. I'm just saying I think it's dumb to risk it over $100 oil change to get an extra 1,000 miles out of your oil. You know, to risk losing injectors or risk losing, causing more wear in the engine. I'd rather just change my oil every 5,000 miles. Blackstone. That's who it is. Thank you. I've heard of people really pushing it. I do not care to push it at all. At the end of the day, these trucks aren't cheap to fix, and the last thing I want to do is fix it if I don't have to. I got to look into this relay you're talking about. Cyclops relay. Arch oil is a good thing. Since you referenced that, I love arch oil. I use arch oil all the time. Big fan of it. It's good stuff. And Bob the oil guy. I'm not familiar with Bob the oil guy. I'll have to look him up. I'm not saying that oil technology hasn't made pretty significant advances since, 1950. Oil has come quite a long way, but Bob the oil. I'm going to quick bring up another screen here, guys. Bear with me for Bob the oil guy. And after the live feed, I'm going to go look that up. And here's Josh. Josh to ruin a live stream.
What we got going on here? Got some whiskey, got some water. You're all set up, huh?
Just ginger ale.
We'll call it ginger ale.
Anyway, does everyone remember this stranger? He doesn't come on the channel often these days.
Hi, Jeremiah.
He does have a truck still. He doesn't drive said truck. You miss
I kept
driving
insurance on it. It's just uninspected.
I thought you dropped insurance on it. Josh needs a drink. No, hey. That's it, Black Mamba. You're out. Did he break it?
Black Mamba's
No,
very
Jeremiah.
observational.
Jeremiah, he did not break it. He just doesn't drive.
No, mine works.
Ask him who fixed it. Your
We
no
fixed
start.
it together. I was at work.
Harsh. Jeremiah doesn't like you.
That's good. What is that?
Vodka. Mango vodka, actually.
Mango.
Yeah, I don't know. It was up there. I didn't feel like buying whiskey. I think that's
Not much,
to you.
Robert. How are you, buddy?
They all don't know what to say. It's like, who's this guy?
Bro, I need you. Well, judging by your name.
Dodge man. You do need an older brother.
What's Dodge Mayhem drive? What do you got? Silence. This isn't a good live stream. You need to fill those pauses.
They're looking at you like, we don't know what to say to this guy. Oh, I'm about to go try my 600 drink.
Oh, Dodge Mayhem has a 6. Yeah. Well, you came to the right place. Jared does have a lot of information.
Well, Josh is clearly older. I don't know if you guys are seeing that. He's clearly the older brother.
Yeah, look at the hairline.
But hold on, bend back down again. Do you see it thinning out, though? Do you
No.
see it? It's starting to thin right in here.
Yeah. Easy girl.
With Tran issues. Hi, puppy.
You need help with...
So what's going on with your transmission? I do want to say, Robert, neither one of us served. Just to throw that out there.
Yeah, we're like the only males in our entire family that haven't served in our extended family. But we are very patriotic, and if any of you have, thank you for your service. There's nothing wrong with being a nationalist. I do believe that we live in the best country in the entire world, and we're so lucky thanks to anyone who served and protected our freedoms.
So when you put it in gear, like it won't engage at all. I think Black Mama, you're back in, even though you told Josh to take my drink. You're really gonna drink that, huh?
Oh, I'm
Feel good
drinking
about
it.
that.
You're a good girl.
So, just so you don't think Josh is referring to
16
himself as a
years
good
in.
girl, there's my dog Izzy. Just saying from the camera angle, it looked like you talked down to yourself like, good girl.
Yeah, we do have a lot of service members as subscribers. You guys are the best.
So for the transmission, have you seen if you have any metal, like have you dropped the pan yet to see if anything's in there? That would kind of be, we were weirded out for a second. Great. You're weirding them out.
I grow on you.
I would
If any one of you haven't been with the channel for a while, you might not know me, but I grow on you like a weed.
or like a bad rash.
Do you need some penicillin or?
No, I'm fine. All right, I'm missing one here. Stock order damage super clean. Nick, if you're not having issues with your gaskets, leave them alone. I know everybody says unless you're planning to do like a 600 horsepower build or something, I would leave the head gaskets alone till they blow. Typically, when they go in a 6-liter, you might have one event where it pukes real bad, but typically it's a slow leak if you're careful on it. After that, and you can kind of wait to get it in there. If you really blow your gaskets, then you want to get it in sooner than later. But typically, I would just wait until it actually happens. It will most likely eventually happen, but I would wait until it's.
Well, Nick, I got a couple of things,
Wait, which one is it? Josh's pride and glory is a 2003 Ford Explorer. It's kind of his go-to. What'd you drive here today, Josh?
Golden Dragon. I'm doing a quick build on an Explorer that was about to go to the junkyard, and I'm doing the suspension one part at a time, and turned into a little bit more of an adventure than I anticipated, but it's keeping the miles off the 04 and the Mustang. I don't ever plan on getting rid of the 04. I love the truck. I got a new Mustang. I don't think they've seen the new Mustang, did they?
Josh, they haven't seen anything from you in like a year.
Jared, you came up and I taught you how to wrench it once again with something else in the last couple of months.
Incorrect.
The Mustang's a 16 GT. Low miles. It's a ruby red. Never thought I'd get a red vehicle because but it's not pull me over red or resale red. It's kind of a classy maroonish color with fleck. It looks good. So to keep the miles off of that, because I kept I drive a lot for work, so you got a 73. What's under the hood?
While we're waiting for that, we're going to quick head back to the transmission issue. Dodge, it could be a solenoid in there, but I honestly, it might be time for a rebuild as well. You could try messing with the solenoids. I don't recommend any of the supposed upgraded solenoids, but that's the only other time I've heard of that dropping in and out of gears, one of them going bad. I guess technically the wiring harness up there could be messed up as well.
All right. Can I talk to some Panchudo here? Panchudo, you ask, what's your opinion on swapping Powerstrokes with 5.9s? Personally, I would never do it. The whole Fummings, that's what they call it, right? Fummins. But yet at the same time, I'm not one of those fanboys that can't appreciate every car at a car show. Like if that's what you're into and that's what you want to do and that's your vision, I can appreciate it at a car show, but personally, when I do any type of build, I still want the power plant to be made from the same company, or at least the same affiliation. Whether so with Ford, I would never do it.
I wouldn't do it mainly based on, I mean, maybe like an OBS.
But I'll tell you what, I'd stand there and talk your ear off with it about it at a car show.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it or at least on a newer truck, just because it's kind of a pain in the butt to get everything to work right. And there's D-Stroked, I think, is still around, the company that sells all the stuff to make the swap. I think it'd be something, if I wanted to do, I'd probably be looking at doing it in like an OBS or something older, or even like a 150. I think that'd be kind of cool in a platform where it wasn't really, in my opinion, I prefer the Ford diesel options. I'd rather have that than the Cummins.
I think this is Oregon Dad 5.9 in an old Ram Charger.
That'd be cool.
The old Ram Chargers were awesome. and yeah, I could see keeping the same, they work. You expect to see a Cummins in a Dodge if it's diesel.
Geometry for the win. Jeremiah all day long. Finally somebody thinking outside the box.
If you have a Geo Metro, I don't care what you put in it, it would be cooler than having just a Geo Metro.
Dodge, I think that would be the smart thing to do, is have that. It could be, unless you've had transmission work recently, I doubt it's anything with your valve body, but like if the bolts in that come loose, it'll cause leaks in there. So it could be that. But actually having somebody hook up and find out what the pressure on the line is compared to what it should be. Did I see that you said go back to factory? Dodge, do you have the upgraded solenoids in it already? If so, are you running factory tuning? Because if you're not running factory tuning, it's all bone stock. Okay, good. Then don't worry about that. Forget what I was about to say. But yeah, I would get the pressure checked in there and eliminate that problem. If that doesn't solve it, then my guess would be that you probably need to tear into your transmission.
Is this the new computer?
Yeah, this is the new one.
Looking sharp.
I do like it. It works really well. It edits nice.
How's the video on this thing for the live stream? Is it as good as the other computer, guys? Do you notice any difference? Her little smile. You just see it in the corner.
How is he? The flux capacitor. I completely forgot about the flux capacitor. Replace that. You should be good to go.
How many gigawatts is he running?
Video looks good. Good deal. It's definitely not as nice as the actual film videos, but it seems to do pretty good. 700 horsepower from PSP diesel. I believe I've seen pictures of the 700 horsepower PSP diesel truck. I hear they do really nice work. I mean, they have nice stuff they sell, but I hear the shop itself actually does really good work on 6 liters. But somebody had asked about 6.7 versus 6.0 towing comparison. So I haven't had a chance to tow with the 6.7 yet. We're fixing some stuff still, but most of that stuff's about to be squared away. And then I do plan to tow this spring with it up to New York, which will be a nice test for it. So Dodge, the 2 easiest ways to get a hold of me are either to message me on Instagram. There's just an H after the 0 in 6.0 Bros to get to our Instagram, because somebody already had 6.0 Bros on there.
Hey, they had 10 subscribers or followers.
They didn't have a YouTube. But we learned
they beat us to Instagram though.
Yes, they did. I
think we beat them. We started the YouTube channel before they had Instagram though, didn't we?
I have no idea. None whatsoever.
Are they actual brothers?
I don't know.
I
don't
feel
think
like
they've
on
posted-
principle alone, like we should have it though.
I feel at over 6,300 subscribers alone, they should give us the darn name. But I forget where I was. Oh yeah, getting a hold of me either
What?
on there.
What's this, Jeremiah? No, you can't blame me for his truck breaking down.
So anyway, either on that or any of the videos that post, just leave a comment. I try to get back to everybody, but Instagram's also a good way to get a hold of us.
Just don't tell a story, because every time you want to talk to somebody for an hour on it about their broken vehicle and I'm trying to sleep,
Then turn it off. Someone's got to keep the channel growing. Anyway, well, let's quick look up 2015 6.7 Powerstroke towing capacity.
Can you share your screen while you're doing that?
There is a way to do it. It's just not, and he is correct that it is almost identical. Look at that. Yeah, 12 to 12. That's funny. You are right. It is almost comparable. I do think the 350 gets a nice bump. I guess it depends, because if you have on a 250, you can get the snow plow prep package that raises your gross vehicle weight rating, which should increase your overall towing. I'll have to look at that. But yeah, no, from what I'm seeing at a quick glance here, they are almost identical. But the 6.0, it just depends. I haven't got a chance to tow with the 6.7 yet. It's kind of a video I'm really looking at making more in April, I believe the campground opens up. I plan on taking the truck up there.
Wouldn't be a live stream without somebody talking oil.
That's the second oil question, actually. I have no experience with AMSOIL. Schaefer's I'd like to try. I have no experience with Shell. T6 seemed to run fine, but Warren Diesel, when I talked to them about their injectors, they recommend not running T6 because they've seen more comebacks from people running T6 in their truck than they have with other people. Currently, I'm running Motorcraft
With an additive.
with Arch Oil additive.
Which is something else that people will hate on.
Someone else talked about Arch Oil in here a little bit ago. What's your thought putting a fan clutch on the 6-liter? Black Mamba, do you mean the 7.3 fan clutch? I can definitely say my 6.0
Tires?
toes.
Oh. Might hope so.
Oh yeah, 6-liter versus the V10 is completely different. That 6-liter will eat the V10 alive any day of the week.
Stock for stock, not off the line.
What's the V10
if you're not
make?
towing, that V10's gonna walk the 6.0. Stock for stock.
No way.
Oh my god.
What's the?
He just said he had 2. Stop looking it up and ask him. Because
Hold on.
this is why I stopped coming around. You're a fanboy.
Okay. Similar weights, 310 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque versus 325 and 560 of the 6-liter.
How much heavier is it?
Not heavy.
What's the gearing?
Off the line is that. There's no way a stock for stock.
See? Jeremiah knows. Sorry, Jeremiah. Sometimes you gotta set this guy straight.
I'm telling you, a stock 6.0 versus a stock V10.
Oh, I'd never
I'd
never buy a V10 if I wanted to tow with it, but yeah, they can be quick off the line.
As for the fan clutch, no, I know a lot of people love the 7.3 fan clutch adapter that Bulletproof Diesel sells, and a few other companies sell it now. I personally don't think I personally don't think it's worth it. I think just run the factory. Like the factory stuff works. I know everyone complains about it. I don't really know why, because it does work. At 220 degrees, your fan clutch is going to come on. Like halfway at 230, it comes on all the way, and you're done.
All right, we're gonna have to find a stock 6.0 because we need to do this race. Because I knew as soon as I said it,
6.0. You all but have a stock 6.0.
I have a bunch of bolt-ons and everything. Just because it's not tuned doesn't mean it's stock. All right. I still don't think my truck would take a stock V10.
Not with your likely leaking manifolds.
You want to race 6.0 to 6.0 right now?
I think my 6.0 would still beat you.
Let's do it.
Enough damage is done to the thing. I'm leaving it alone. Not if your VET is working correctly.
VGT.
VGT is working correctly.
We need to make that race happen.
I really don't think I don't see a V10 beating a stock 6-liter. I just don't see it. I don't see the V10 winning.
You've never driven a V10, have you?
Only once.
They're so much faster off the line.
I just don't see it happening. I want to see it. I want to see it happen now. I like Jeremiah's son right here. It takes a weirdly long time to spool up. I will say this: it's been so long since I've driven a stock 6-liter. I do forget a little bit. That's all I can think is I do forget a little bit, but I'd have a hard time believing, just looking at the numbers, that a V10 beats the stock V10 beats a stock 6.0 in the quarter mile.
It's quick, man.
I would be dumbfounded.
I wouldn't say it's fast, but the stock 6.0 is not fast either. Now I'm going to get more hate on here for saying that. All right, guys, the 6.0 is phenomenal. It can't do any wrong. I love the frickin' engine too, guys.
I bet with 430s, that was a pretty fun truck, though. Austin, I'm going to need a little more. I'm going to need a little more information than it's making a ping noise. Is that idle? What all is it doing here?
How's it going, guys?
Did Kylie give you a call?
I'm talking to Lori.
Oh. I had to set him straight, Mom.
Do they miss you, John?
I don't know. Do you guys miss me, or do you wish I wasn't here?
They barely recognize him, is what I've noticed. Barely recognize him.
Why don't you take the bench over, John?
I'm all right.
Offline, pretty quick. It would be interesting. The biggest weakness with the 250 is that 4R. Though that 4R is the preferred. Would you quit poking the screen? The 4R for guys that are drag racing 6-liters, the V10 out of a 4R will bolt up to a 6-liter, and them built, or those transmissions built, are the preferred drag racing setup for a 6.0.
The 7.3 gasser. What are your thoughts? You go first instead of just.
I think the 7.3
following suit, whatever I decide. Yeah. Make your decision, then I'll.
John Hall, welcome to the channel here. I think the 7.3 gasser is awesome. I know some guys are super upset it's not a diesel.
Spool is cool.
I think someone said something about they don't like when you're here. Oh no, you guys are great together. My bad. Misread that. Anyway, the 7.3 guys, I think it's awesome. I think it's cool to have it's a big old V8. How do you not love that? And it's pushrod. It's something different.
It's a huge letdown. Let me correct you right there. It's a huge letdown to anyone who grew up loving Ford Powerstrokes, or even prior to the Ford Powerstroke branding. 7.3, when Ford announced that they're coming out with a 7.3, you probably were all thinking what I was like, oh, that's going to be awesome. And then they're like, it's gas. And then you're like, wah, wah, wah. I hear it's actually, the numbers are very conservative. It's pretty capable though.
It's got a lot left
But
on the
this-
table for what it is.
But it's a gasser. They should have called it a 7.4 or a 7.2. Don't call it a 7.3 and make it a gasser. What do you guys think?
All right, but who doesn't love the nickname Godzilla?
Yeah, I'd love
Like
it
the
more.
code name for it is awesome.
I'd love it
put
more.
Drink in mine.
If it was diesel. If the next iteration, like once they redid the 6.7, if they converted the block into more like a larger block and turned it into a 7.3 with the same design, that I would get behind. That's what I was hoping, and I bet everybody here agrees with me. Oregon Dad agreed,
Hold on.
and he was one of our vets.
Austin,
So you know
you're
he's
right.
right.
It's most likely probably injectors. I would try running arch oil. Seriously, that stuff is awesome for injectors in the 6-liter. Your next oil change, get a bottle of arch oil in there. You can get a good price on the... I have a whole video talking about arch oil. If you look up... do you need your glasses?
All right, Jeremiah. Thank you. Very observant.
Vision's-
Once again.
Vision's not what it used to be, guys. Granted, my vision's always been terrible, so I really can't talk in that as in Shrek.
Oh, thank you. All right. I have a little girl. I'm in. I got it now.
Austin, I don't have any experience with Hot Shot.
I wanted to try Hot Shot, and then you were all about the arch oil, and I
love arch
couldn't
oil.
find Hot Shot. Hot Shot's not sold very, like, basically anywhere unless it's online.
Jeremiah, you're welcome.
What's this? I'm too old. What's this mean?
You're welcome. And then that's a face sticking the tongue out.
Oh.
All right, for the record, your generation, this was like super popular on AIM and stuff like that. That was you.
Is that a
yeah, it's
instant messenger?
Do you have dementia over here?
I was never like you on that stuff. I liked the ladies. I wasn't into typing, but
You were
do
talking to
you
the
do
ladies
you.
on there. All right. I haven't heard much about how I do know Ford has been advertising the 7.3 gas engine as being overbuilt and able to take a whole bunch of abuse, but I don't really have anything to back that up. I know more about the new 2020 6.7 coming out, or I guess it's out now, which I really want to drive one. At some point, I'm going to go to a dealer and test drive one.
These guys had the IDI.
An IDI would be pretty cool.
That would be. What year did they put the turbo on it before Powerstroke? Wasn't it like a half year or something? Half
Just
year,
shat
a year
my
and a half.
pants. I have one question. Which 5.9, a 12 valve or a 24 valve, and which 6.6 Duramax are
Where's
we
this? The 5.9?
this guy? Which ones are we all talking about?
So he's comparing the three, but what year?
Well,
Is that
yeah,
what you're
'cause
asking?
the 5.9 is a 12 valve or a 24 valve, or is the 6.6? I mean,
But it's not that simple. It's not that simple. I mean, for when it breaks, I'd say the 5.9 can sit in there with it. Although the Duramax is pretty simpleton back then, wasn't it? The 6.6.
well, the Duramax has always been a common rail engine.
So the 6.6, can't you can cheaply throw power at that.
Well, so a common rail 5.9 and a common rail 6.6. So a 24 valve 5.9 and basically any Duramax ever made is capable of about 500 horsepower with just tuning. The
So that's
6.0,
pretty cool
the
if
6
you're looking for cheap power.
the 6.0 in comparison is about 440. But if you're talking from a towing standpoint, they're all going to be very similar as far as overall capability. The 5.9 24 valves do not let everybody fool you. They have a fair amount of head gasket issues like 6 liters do.
Yeah, but it's a much different job on a 5.9.
It is, but people are
I
going to
could
say,
teach Kylie how to do head gaskets on a 5.9.
I think you should go fill her drinks back up since you drank my backup.
It wasn't a backup. You were double fisting.
The killer dowel pen. That's a bad day on
The dowel pin on the is that the Cummins that pin that can snap and blow your freaking
it can
whole
happen.
engine.
It can happen on certain year 6.6s too. I don't see. Nick agrees. Refill. Thank you, Nick. So depending on how you knew, all of those trucks are going to be capable.
Looking at John? Everybody wants to love the 6.4.
I want to answer his question first.
All right.
Any one of those trucks is going to tow 12,000 pounds. That's
Crate 6.0. There you go. All right, moving on. What do you think about John here?
I want you to go fill the drinks while I
What
answer
do you guys
that guy's
think of the
question.
6.4?
Everybody
wants to love the 6.4.
Go fill the drinks up. I'm going to answer this question, and then when you come back, we'll talk 6.4s.
I want to hear what you say.
The 6.4. If you're talking,
Do you want some tissues while I'm up there?
no, but I want to drink, and I want to answer that other guy's question completely. Anyway, the 6.4 is at the end of the day, people quote it at 150,000-mile engine, and that's a common failure point. Turbos are stupid expensive. They are known for eating pistons. That being said, there's ton of guys out there that have high mileage 6.4s that haven't had issues. I do think maintenance is key, but I do think your maintenance can be spot on, and at the end of the day, it just has a higher rate of destroying engines. Can you be very lucky and have a great 6.4? Absolutely. You have a higher chance of having big issues that are going to be far more expensive than fixing a 6-liter.
See, nobody wants to say anything bad about a 6.4. First of all, it pulled Ford out of the freaking dumpster because of the bad rap that the 6.0 had because of issues that everyone knows. So there's good things about the 6.4. It's just in hindsight, there were more issues with the 6.4 than the 6.0. What? All right. Who did you just say? Josh is being lazy? How many naps do you take in a week? What's this? Who said this?
I definitely talk poorly on the 6.4. No, the 6.4 was only in 10, 8, 9, and 10. 11 was the first year of the 6.7. 13 was the first full year that they had the 6.7, like 100% correct. They stopped having turbo issues in the 13 when they went back to steel bearings in it. And you didn't have valve issues in the 13s or 12s.
So the 6.4. Can we just
diesel?
No, those were some good comments. Can you Patreon give them some money or something for good comments?
That's not how it works. One, we don't have Patreon. Two, if we had a Patreon, they pay us.
No, you should definitely be paying them for some of these good comments.
We can't super chat them. They can super chat us. Those are the only ways to pay, and there's no way for us to pay them.
God, you're cheap. I'm gonna go get a drink, and maybe if you're lucky, I'll get you one. I can't be here for too much longer.
You're gonna need that.
Do you want to go up there? I'll take care of some business.
No, they're pretty much done with you. Thanks for the drink. Anyway,
Jared,
we're getting back to the three.
Let me see this. I got you, guy.
Are you like You really can't. You really don't know how to do this. You can't even support our subscribers. The good thing about a 6'4" is they were only around for 2 years.
Yeah, that was another good one. $2. Give him 2 now. That was a good, great comment. Hilarious. It made me giggle.
Dodge, before you change any of those solenoids out, have that guy check the pressure, because that's basically how you tell. So the solenoids are controlling line pressure, and that's going, after he tests it, that'll let you know if you have an issue there. Once you determine you have an issue, when you drop the transmission pan, if you're doing the work yourself, to which I don't have a ton of experience with, so I can't really talk too much more than what I'm about to say on it because I don't know. I would make sure your valve body's tightened. If your valve body's loose, that'll let pressure slip out, and that could be part of your issue. Though if you haven't had work done recently, I doubt you have an issue there. Solenoids can fail. It's not like super common, but it can happen. The wiring harness can fail as well. Black Mamba, that is my older brother, correct? Forgot he's not down here. He can't hear me. Anyway, though, for the different trucks, if you're still in here, man, truth be told, I would be looking for what the best overall deal is on them. They're all going to be able to, if you're looking at 04 and let's just say 04 and newer for any of them, they're all going to be capable of doing what you need them to. I'd be looking for the best deal, and I'd definitely factor in what you like out of that. One of the things we do pride ourselves here is we try to, if we have a bias, we try to admit it. But at the end of the day, I would be looking for the best deal. Each one of them is going to tow what you need to tow. I do like VGT turbos for towing, and I think Dodge was the last one to that game, so bear that in mind. And I do like the sound of the V8 diesels better than the inline 6. But all in all, they'll all get the job done. My preference would be Ford followed by Dodge, or Ford followed by Chevy would be what I would purchase. So I hope that helps if you're still in here, man. Not a fan of a big payment. I would definitely accept money. Robert, good point. I don't know a ton about 6.6s. I have heard that some years are known for injector failures. I would definitely do your research before buying. But all in all, I would say each of them are good engines. I would say from what little research I have on Duramaxes, they're less likely to have head gasket issues over a Dodge or the 6.0. That being said, my 6-liter made it to 180,000 miles. It still didn't blow a gasket. Cracked cylinder head. I didn't have I wasn't blowing coolant out or anything. I was pushing 65 psi of fuel into my cooling system. So anyway, someone in here had asked about 6.0 versus 6.7 towing. So I can't talk 6.7 towing, but I can talk 6.6 LML Duramax towing. And one thing I noticed is you definitely notice the transmission having that extra gear. And the one thing I did really notice is the 6.6 Duramax never felt like it was working hard to tow the camper. Now, maybe they're on 31s, 373 gears. There's a big mechanical advantage there. A 6-speed transmission versus bigger tires than should be on my 6-liter, 373 gears, and a 5-speed transmission. Now when you go to a 6.7 Powerstroke, you're talking 355 gears, 6-speed transmission, a 33 or a 35-inch tall tire, but you're talking in the 15, like what's on the channel, you're talking 440 horsepower at the crank. And I can't remember it right now, 830 to I think it's 860, 860 pound-feet of torque at the crank. Got a big step up from the 6-liter. The 6-liters do sound awesome. There is no getting around it. The 6.0 is one of the greatest sounding trucks out there. Man, 6 liters do sound good. I really miss that truck. I was watching one of my videos the other day with the 6.0 in it. I was looking for something to put in a video I'm working on, and there was an exhaust clip of me, and I was like, damn it, darn it. Sorry, I don't normally curse on the channel. Darn it if that truck doesn't sound awesome. I really do miss it. Dude, Nick, that's going to be awesome. What turbo are you running with that? Nick, were you the one that's saying you have a VGT, a 366? Was that you? They are one of my favorite soundings. That being said, Duramax, a deleted Duramax sounds pretty killer too. They have a similar sound to a 6.0. Not quite the same, but similar in some aspects. And they can have a pretty insane whistle too. But the 6-liter is my favorite. Deleted 6.7s don't sound terrible. They sound pretty decent. They have a very different, they have like a howl to their whistle. Whereas like a 6-liter, like it just whistles and then stops. But like a 6.7 Powerstroke deleted has like a howl to the whistle on their trucks. It's pretty cool. But we'll see. There's some tow stuff eventually coming for our 6.7. Oh, Nick, that's going to be a good setup. It's going to be like 600 horsepower capable if you have the fuel and your high pressure oil pumps healthy. That'll be a nice setup. What size nozzle are you putting on those 205s? I'm going to be running 205 30s at some point when the truck gets gone through, or when the truck's back and I can pull the injectors and send them out to Warren to have them gone through and made a little bit bigger than they currently are. I'm excited for that. So those of you guys in here still, we've come down a little bit. How many of you guys want to see, what's some of the stuff you want to see on the 6.7 build? I know for some of you guys, you're not as into it as you are the 6.0 content, but what are some upgrades and stuff you'd like to see done on the 6.7? I'm planning to do some towing upgrades. There's just like the 6.0, the cold side pipe is plastic off the intercooler and that breaks. I'm looking at maybe intercooler. I'm looking at intake piping kit, exhaust stuff, wink, wink, so to speak. But oh, dude, Nick, that's going to be such an awesome setup, dude. Yeah, the 6.7 fuel pump. I've thought about talking to Josh about maybe feeding his fuel pump out of with a 6.7 fuel pump. I'm probably going to eventually put a fuel system on the 6.7, probably another fast, maybe an air dog, but I definitely want to put a lift pump on it at some point. Moto Man diff gears. What about them? Is that what you want to see, and on which the 6.7? I do plan to do differential covers on the 6.7. I'll probably do one on a rear one on the 6.0 in the future. We're going to be doing gear change or servicing the diffs on my dad's 7.3 and his transmission in the near future. So we're going to be looking at some stuff there. I'll be doing videos on all that. Things I'm eventually looking at doing. So we're going to fix, there's an intercooler pipe on the 6.7 that's prone to breaking. I'm going to be replacing that with an upgraded one. What's a good locker for my 05? I do not have experience with lockers. I know some people have beaten the crap out of the factory Ford ones with very good luck and haven't had any issues. So you could go that route, just a factory option. Josh got lost. Yeah, I noticed that too, Nick. Send him up there for 2 seconds then. Takes forever to come back down. But is it a Grizzly locker I'm thinking of? I've heard good stuff about them, I believe. You're going to Robert, there could be some weight reduction stuff happening with the 6.7 if that's what you're referring to. Yes, That is something very plausible in the near future-ish. I will say, before those weight reduction and space-saving activities happen in the 6.7, I would like to try. I do want to tow with it in factory form first. I'd like to even try towing with, towing partway with factory, then towing also with like a tow tune for it, and just to try it out, because some people are into all that, and not everybody wants to have those reductions, so to say. Black Mamba, the 6.7 is going to be a strictly tow focused build. That is the goal of that truck. There's not going to be, that truck most likely will not be raced at all. Everything for that truck, the goal is to, okay, I know my drink's back there somewhere. If you could just get that for me.
Dude, Mom needed me to look at something, and I completely forgot. But I got some wine for me. I'll get you some water before I go. Do you want a sip?
I'm not going to lie, if you guys unsubscribed right now because of Josh's behavior, I wouldn't blame you, knowing someone treats his brother like that. But yeah, Black Mamba, that is the whole focus. So probably one of my favorite towing upgrades that was on my 6-liter is a set of airbags. And that'll be one of... It does not yet, but it's going to. Because if I could only do one upgrade for towing...
Nick, wine? Are you talking about Jared? Yeah, he's whiny.
There's a joke in there I'm going to pass on. I'm pretty certain they're making fun of you. Like 90% certain. But towing, definitely, airbags is one of my favorite things. Black Mamba. Yeah, he's shocked at your behavior, Josh. Josh, letting the subscribers down since 2018.
I feel like I entertain them.
Next, somebody had referenced.
Oh, definitely bags. Absolutely. Watch it. Like driving behind someone towing, like you can tell what a difference airbags make.
They do. If you switch to a better, I mean, that's why the 450s and 550s come. I think 350 dualies have 430s in them.
Is Nick talking to you about the airbags?
No, he's talking about you being a crappy brother.
Did you guys really think I was going to bring him a drink? These must be some subscribers.
So, Robert, I've noticed that too. A lot of 6.7s I've seen towing. It's a fifth wheel camper is what I have. I've seen a lot of 6.7s. So to try to give a better ride quality, a lot of the 250s only have like 2 or 3 leaf springs in the rear. Now mine has more, but I believe it's because it had the snow prep package on it. So it has a heavier duty front set of coils and heavier rear leaf springs as well. I don't know the exact configuration for everything, but I do believe the snow prep package did that. But a lot of guys that just got the, off the lot 6.7s had less leaf springs back there. So, and preferably I'd rather have that. I'd rather have better ride quality when I want it, and then a set of airbags for when I'm about to hook up and just, I do want to do a nice setup. I want to put an onboard air compressor and everything for it so that just in the cab, hit a button and done. Moto Man, doing gears is probably a little too expensive to be just experimenting to mess around and show it. But there's a reason that dualies come with lower gears, and 550s come with even lower gears than that and are rated to tow more. Now they do also, I believe 550s start to derate the engine, have less horsepower and torque, but I believe that's also more for like oil temps and heat management overall.
I have that in my garage. Been talking about putting that in the 6.0 for a few years.
If I was editing this video right now and I was inserting this, I'd put the little scene of Stewie making fun of Brian writing his book. Gonna write a novel?
Gonna write a novel?
Been working on that long time. A little bit of rising action.
Writer's block. So how do you have it set up?
That was going to be my next question. How is it set up that you don't like it? Or what do you want to change on it to make you like it more?
Because I got the onboard kit as well. What company did I go with?
Firestone.
Yeah, I went with the Firestone kit. I want to get a bigger tank because I want to run a few things off of it, but
I'm not sold on what setup's going to go on the 6.7. I have just airbag, I don't have the auto switch. What's the auto switch? It sounds cool.
excellent follow-up question. I was thinking the same thing. See that? Teamwork makes the dream.
Grant, welcome. But for the 6.7, I'm not sure what setup I'm going to go with. I just know it needs to be.
It's all manual. Okay, so Jared has that in his truck.
Yeah, well, no, he has onboard air. He might have the system you're talking about.
He says it's all manual though.
But he's got onboard air. Do you have like an air compressor on there, or do you just have a tank that you have to then hook up to your airbags to do them? Right now on my white truck, it just has the airbags, and then I ran the hoses out to the rear to hook up. So I have to go to an air compressor to fill them. That's what I'm running. Firestone Ride Rights. Josh one day will
These
install
guys
them.
got some cool trucks though.
71
Up
350.
there we got a
Some IDIs.
70s Mustang. Now we got a 71 F350. We had some IDIs.
Okay. So you don't have like something in your truck that you can just hit a button and call it a day.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool in my garage though. I highly recommend it.
William, I did see your comment and I wasn't ignoring. While I was studying earlier, you're not eating chips right now.
Got some grandma Let's there.
They were delicious while I was studying.
Barbecue.
My favorite.
One of the best kettle cooks.
So anyway, William,
Little vote. Who loves grandma Let's?
so Coolant is, both Josh and I are running CAT EC1 rated coolant in both of our 6 liters. My 6.7's just running Ford Gold in it.
I love the cat.
I
went through 2 of the plastic containers in the vehicle because it kept staining it. I went to cat. Doesn't stain it at all.
And I've heard other people reference that too.
It's the dumbest little thing, but like I don't know what. Well, I do know it's the gold, but go to cat.
The Mishimoto
Cat.
radiator. We
Cat.
Stop. God, he's like a
Cat.
child.
Underwood agrees.
No, he's giving me the thumbs up for attempting to answer his question. Anyway, so you're looking at the Mishimoto radiators. If you're looking at the $350 one, it is an older model. It is going to not work as well as the OEM one. And truth be told, the performance one that's more expensive is not going to work it's going to work similar to OEM in my experience with it. If you want to go to an all aluminum one, Bulletproof Diesel sells one that is cheaper and gets really good reviews. Also, Prime Cooling on Amazon gets really good reviews from people that are towing with their trucks. I'd be looking at them as opposed to the Performance Mishimoto one. I run the Performance one in my truck, but I don't know. I do have video. My tow videos talk about that a little bit.
You haven't noticed a darn thing with it, have you?
Not an increase in performance now. So honestly, if your
But
factory one is
On the
there,
upside, it did burn him.
yeah, that's the one thing they don't tell you about. So the
Who would have
plastic,
thunk it?
so
Metal's a great conductor of heat.
so
He's a genius, this one.
so the plastic one, you can work on your under there when it's hot, and it just kind of is just mildly provides mild discomfort. You put a metal one in there when that truck is hot, it hurts. Just saying, bear that in mind. $2 in the bed. That sounds pretty cool. Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah, man, you had some cool stuff. So I did that. I did that for the YouTube children. Kept it PG. Where's Jeremiah
I forgot
from?
about the Robert. I forgot about the IPR one. IPR does sell one. I'd go with the IPR one over the Mishimoto one, but it looks very, very similar. I guess you can only weld aluminum so many ways. Nick, how do you like your aluminum eBay special?
Grant, I got to tell you, I've replaced mine, but it wasn't the plastic
Jeremiah, I
top.
get bored.
And I got to tell you, I've sat on that thing, laid on that thing. Even more so, Jared has laid on my plastic top, and it still hasn't cracked. So take that.
Yeah, I do have to say, Grant, I don't know how you broke that. I will say this though, the little nipple on the side, everybody breaks that. I haven't.
PG, dude. There could be kids.
I'm still disgusted with you. I can't even believe you right now. Anyway, I've heard of people breaking that, but I haven't heard of people cracking the actual top of it. And actually, typically what I do is I'll put like a sweatshirt or something on it, and I kneel on the plastic one all the time, or I used to when I had one.
How many gallons is the Excursion fuel
That's
tank?
the one we were looking at for your truck. Where the spare mounts. It's 40 or 44 gallons, I think.
Yeah, we are looking at that for a tow build. How many gallons was that?
For the infamous return of Josh's truck to the channel. That's funny. I don't want a metal D gas reservoir. I bet they run hot.
44 gallon. That would be awesome.
The black truck's going to be getting a S&B tank underneath it. And I'm pretty excited to have like 56 gallons or 56 or 57 gallons of fuel.
What's it? What's this?
S&B makes a really nice one. Has a sump built into the tank and everything. It's expensive. It's a $1,200 day, but it's 56 gallons. It's almost the whole way to South Carolina. Towing.
It's awkward looking at you, looking at me in the screen, waiting for a response, and then disappointed that I don't give you one.
Coming back to see what other people are saying. An ASI cooling off eBay. Grant, how did it run? Oh yeah, they are pricey. They're a little. You only paid it. Where did you get one for $80 with a skid plate?
Yeah, I want that one.
That's the one for
ticket.
Josh.
That's the ticket.
Yeah, though, if you don't have a spare underneath, that is kind of the thing to do. That's kind of a no-brainer.
I did remove that whole mechanism. What's that mean?
I don't know, but we're going to be looking up LKQ later.
What's LKQ? I don't have time to look things up. Just
Yeah, I
ask.
know. You're super busy drinking your wine. Got very familiar with the gas tank. Ogre, how did you route your nozzle? Like since you moved your tank, how did you run to fill up your tank? Like, how did you change that? That's kind of the only thing you pull at Junkyard.
Robert Murphy knows you pull it. Oh, is he the one that spent $80? You pull it. I haven't been there in years. Is that like a national chain? Or
Yeah,
is
there's a
he
bunch of
familiar with
U-Pulls.
us?
I mean, he might be familiar with the U-Pull by us,
Because
but
there's one in PA up by State College that I went to once or twice.
it's parts used. No.
Okay. Oh. Wish I knew that. So I didn't look like a dumb hiney.
Anyway,
Thanks, Grant. Oh, LKQ is like a you pull it. It's a junkyard. Honestly, this was one of the first things I told you when I said let's start a YouTube channel was how much we can learn from the people that actually watch us. A lot of our channels, I mean, feel free to correct us and everything in the comments. Like, that's what it's all about. We want people to get the answers. So if we're wrong, let us know. Or if we don't know something, teach us. It's all about sharing information.
and they have new parts. Are the excursion tanks the ones that were known for, what was it, like delamination on the inside or something, like the inner lining would peel?
What's the inner lining?
I don't know what it is, but I know there was an issue with it. Or was that all of the diesel ones?
In aluminum cans, they have a plastic lining.
No, I did not.
That way it doesn't taste metallic. For soda and
Beverages?
6 packs of soda.
Did you get a used or a new one when you got the tank? If Josh ever lets us, we have cool stuff planned for his truck. Be a cool tow build.
Well, if you stop taking your daily naps, maybe we'd have more time.
You let me know. I'm ready. I think it was a diesel thing, Jeremiah. I don't think it was a gas. I don't think the gas tanks had issues. Maybe they're the same tank and I don't know. Could be. Or maybe the diesel interacts differently with it. I have no idea. One of them was known, or maybe it was a 450, 550 cabin chassis thing. So you got used ones with new innards.
All right. Well, hey, guys, I got to get going, but I want to say thank you. We love having you here. I know I don't get around very often,
Seriously
but
not going to bring me a drink, huh?
no.
That was pretty. God.
Do you want the rest of the wine?
No, I don't want the rest
All
of
right.
the wine.
But anyway, I can't tell you how thankful we are for having all of you join in the conversation and be part of what we do. So, Nick, bring it down a notch, man. He can go get himself a drink.
I'm in the middle of a live stream. I'm not leaving them.
They're getting boardy anyway. I am. That's why I gotta get going. No, it's the dogs. But anyway, bye everyone. Thank you. See you next time.
Seriously though, it's like right there, isn't it?
No, dude, I don't have a drink for you.
Hey, you put those screwdrivers back. Now he's taking my Milwaukee screwdrivers. He's a crappy brother. All right. Let's see here. Let's Instagram. I'm gonna put our Instagram name down here. I do think there's a link to it in like the channel banner. If you go to the channel page, I believe there's a click to get to Instagram. Anyway, so William, my injectors on the 6-liter are pretty conservative. They're just 175 with a stock nozzle, and I lost no towing capacity. It's roughly a 520 horsepower setup. You do lose top end. The 175 is capable of a little more on the top end, not a ton over the stock, but you can probably get 550 out of it if you went to a 30%. But if you go to a 205/30, you can still maintain. I talk about in one of my videos the anytime you open up the nozzle to a larger, especially if you don't have more volume behind it, you're creating it doesn't atomize as well as you do when you have a smaller nozzle and a bigger body. So I am a fan of that setup. That's why I like the 175 stock injector. But when you switch to like a 2, if you want something a little more, in one of my videos I do talk a little bit about this. There's an injector video. I think it's I think the thumbnail says how big should we go. I discussed this a little more. I think the not injectors people should look at a 175 stock nozzle or a 205/30. If you're talking still maintaining maximum towing capacity, those are your two injectors to look at. You can pull a 205/30 down to you can defuel it a little bit and it'll tow just fine and heat will be very manageable. You can run a stage 2, like a 64 to 66 millimeter turbo. Turbo Time USA, obviously, who sponsors the channel and who I recommend. Their 64 millimeter turbos going to be better for towing. Their 66 millimeter turbos for guys that want to kind of flirt with a little more horsepower but still be able to tow max weight. But understand you will have certain driving scenarios where that is detracting from your overall towing capability. You know, that might be one of those instances where you want to run the bigger gears or be prepared to run your gear out a little further than you do with your factory, than with the 64 millimeter turbo. So, but no, I didn't lose anything. If truthfully, when I went to the 175 stock injector on the tow tune, the truck just ran better. Now it did have a refresh, had new cylinder heads, the ported intake and exhaust manifolds, PowerMax turbo, a fuel system. But let me tell you, the truck, bigger intercooler and better intercooler pipes, the truck ran absolutely amazing with that. In fact, I remember my tow tune from Windrunner Performance is actually a reduced power tow tune that he doesn't advertise. I've requested it and he just accommodated the request. And it towed so well. You know, it made, you know, we were shooting for about 40 horsepower from it instead of the 60 to 70 he normally has. You know, so I didn't dyno that tune or anything like that, but man, it just runs so well with that setup and I love it. And I had more than ample power. I mean, any practical speed limit you're going to tow hooked up to a load, you have plenty of power to do it. You're not going to have any issues. And, you know, towing 13,000, I can only really get about 9 to 10 miles per gallon. But yeah, I didn't lose anything is basically what I'm saying. Yeah, Robert, I'm a big fan of it. Jeremiah, you had a frame cracking issue on your Chevys? I haven't really heard of that, to be honest, but I don't really look up a ton of Chevy stuff, but that would suck. That's a bad day. Let me close some of these other pages I got open up there. But yeah, let's talk, unless you guys have more questions, we're going to talk 6.7 build here a little bit, some stuff for you guys to look forward. Obviously, guys, I know the Valence video wasn't going to do well, and the goofing around in the snow a little bit wasn't going to be a big video, just stuff I wanted to do. If we actually get some real snow here anytime soon, I do plan to do a really good video goofing around in the snow where I actually do some good donuts. I had what seemed to be an upset neighbor there where I was at, looking at me, giving me dirty looks. So I felt like I should probably leave. I didn't feel like explaining myself to cops if he went that far to call them. And what I wanted to do right there was I was hoping to get, my goal was to kind of lead into really doing some good donuts, and obviously that didn't work. But if he was upset with what I started, he was not going to like what I was about to do. Dude, that's terrible. I hope Chevy, it's Chevy. They probably didn't fix that or anything. Ogre, I'm in Pennsylvania, in the Lancaster area. But anyway, so 6.7 build. Again, it's going to be a tow build. So things we've already talked about here is I do plan on putting a big fuel tank in it. And I also plan on doing airbags to the rear. I just love airbags. I think they're awesome. I might replace my rear leaf springs in it and airbag it, and that will kind of make up my height difference, but I'm not 100% sure there. Air intake's going to happen. Some exhaust work, if you will. And probably a piping kit. Really on a 6.7 for a tow build, there's no reason to go into crazy builds. I do want to do some fully emissions compliant tuning, which, I've talked previously about emissions compliant versus emissions enabled tuning, or intact tuning, and of course delete tune. Everybody knows what that is. But emissions compliant and emissions intact tuning, the difference is emissions intact tuning doesn't actually mean that it is hitting. Start a GoFundMe for a Kelderman kit. I will not start a GoFundMe. If anybody wants to see something. So here is one thing I've thought about doing, guys, and I'm hesitant to do it because I feel like it makes the channel look needy. Is I've contemplated. Who's burning out? Heard some squealing tires. No, Josh, in the Golden Dragon Explorer did not burn out. We won't start a GoFundMe. But I will say, oh, man, a Kelderman kit. That'd be so awesome to have. I'm tired of all the eBay. One thing I've thought about doing is starting a Patreon page. But the reason I've never done one is I can't find a reason to necessarily reimburse people that do that. And that's kind of what I want to do if I go that route. You guys can support me by watching. Yes, I did. You did not, Josh. You guys can support us by watching the videos. That's what makes money and will allow us to do stuff. I really can't think of a way to ask people for money. If there was a Patreon page, one thing I've thought about doing is making it strictly for reviewing parts, and then giving that part away to the people that are in that group. That's one thing I have contemplated doing, to create content for the channel and then give back to the people that are doing it. But again, I have not really looked into any of that because the idea of asking you guys for money just seems weird to me. But there will be no GoFundMe pages. I wonder if I can kick Josh out of here. That'd be kind of funny. Put user in timeout. Hide user on this. All right, guys, drop a comment. Should I put Josh on timeout in here? Because this is like the only time I actually get to do that and not have consequences for it. So if you think that'd be funny for me to put Josh on timeout in here, put that comment in. But no, let him watch. Well, Nick, don't worry. I can't kick him out. But I can put him on timeout. Actually, what that does, I've only ever used this function once. There's some guy making I don't know if you've noticed, we try to keep the channel pretty clean. And some guy was making ridiculous comments in here that were not very clean. Let him be sad. He left. And I asked him to stop and deleted his comment, and he kept going. So I looked to see if I could kick him out, and nope. But I found out I could put him on timeout, which I thought was hilarious. It made me laugh. Thank you, Nick. He should have gotten me the drink. I came prepared for the full live stream, And he did that to me. For towing, tires are important. I'm still in stock wheels and run. So I don't have any experience with the BFG 2s, the all-terrains that they have. I know some, he drank it all. He did. It was terrible of him. Throat's starting to hurt a little bit. Too bad I don't have something to drink, Josh. Anyway, I've run cheaper tires like Hercules all-terrains, which were actually a really good tire. Josh hates that tire because he thinks the fact that they're called Hercules is super tacky. But they were a good tire. What else have I towed with? Cooper Discover STTs, I think. That's like one of those hybrid all-terrain versus mud-terrain tires. The outer lugs are wider and spaced further apart, and the inner lugs are kind of tighter together. Nitto, no, I haven't towed with my Nitto Terra grapplers. I do really like my Nitto Terra grapplers. And Toyo all-terrain AT2s, I liked them. The AT2s were actually what I got really good fuel economy with. Need a more aggressive tire. I'm trying to think. The Coopers, I didn't think I got a lot of miles out of it. Like, it was a cool looking tire. I really liked that. But I don't remember getting a ton of miles out of them. And I actually could definitely tell a difference in fuel economy with them. Now, when I bought my white truck, it came with C-rated tires, and they were a highway tread. And then I switched to this pretty aggressive all-terrain hybrid. Josh really did hate the Hercules tires. But they were one of my favorite I've ever run. They were just a good tire. I really like my Nitto Terra grapplers on the white truck. Currently, the black truck has... it's a cheaper brand, a Toro all-terrain tires that again have that hybrid, tight in the middle, and the lugs on the outside are spaced out more. I'm not familiar with what kind of tire you would run on sand. I know you need to air down so it spreads out enough and you can distribute the weight a little better, especially when truck's as heavy as the Super Duties are. But that is honestly all I know about that. I wish I knew more, but it's not practical for me. As for 6.7, unless you guys say something here, well, I'm more worried about getting stuck. Fuel mileage high. Fair enough with the V. I have not heard good things about the V10 and fuel economy. Controlled Insanity. My question is, what year is your 6-liter? Because the ones that Josh and I have are not known for death wobble. My dad has that same suspension in his 0173. That hasn't had it either. Now, death wobble is more of an 05 and up issue. And man, you have an 07, so that's what I thought. I thought it would be the newer suspension. So the 05 through at least 17s, and I would imagine up to current 20 trucks as well, but I've actually looked under a 17 to see this so I can verify it. 05 through 2017 is an identical suspension setup. Now, there might be some small changes, but essentially it's the same. I've heard people say it's anything from the track bar bracket, where the ball joint mounts on the axle. I've heard that needed replaced. The biggest thing is it's definitely a suspension part up front. And what I've noticed from like trying to look into it a little bit, typically something is causing other parts to fail from what I've heard and seen people find resolutions. I would go over your entire front suspension. To truly check ball joints on these trucks, you need to take a big pry bar, lift your front end up, and put the pry bar under the tire and pull up. And you'll be able to hear it clicking if your ball joints are bad. But you need a pretty big pry bar to do that. But you need to jack your front end up, and that's the only. You're not going to be able to grab your tire and move the tire enough to do it. You need a pry bar to get to truly check ball joints. Wheel bearings on these trucks, as long as you're using good wheel bearings, I would say most of the time you can get about 100,000 miles out of a wheel bearing. If you're not now, obviously, if you're working it harder, doing snowplow stuff, or doing off-road things, you'll wear them out quicker. But typical use, just towing, even heavy towing, and on-road stuff, you'll be fine. At least that's been my experience with my 6-liter. Now I'm about to put wheel bearings on the black truck. I'm about to release a whole bunch of videos about basically replacing the entire suspension on that year truck. And over Controlled Insanity, have you replaced any of your suspension parts? Josh, they do have a track bar on there. He has an 05 setup. So Controlled Insanity, if you have 140,000 miles on your truck, you are definitely in need of a lot of suspension work. I'm going to soon be releasing a tie rod video. So your drag link comes off your pitman arm on your steering gearbox, comes down to your passenger side tire, and then the tie rod ends that go from there all the way over to your driver's side. I'll be releasing that video shortly. And that's an easy job. That's an hour job. If you're moving, it took a little longer with filming and stuff, but I would start there. Your track bar just has on your track bar on the axle is a ball joint. You'll need to replace that ball joint, and I would also replace the bushing that mounts up to the frame. I would look at the steering stabilizer. Then after that, I would move to ball joints, U-joints, and your wheel bearing assemblies. All of these things I just listed in the next couple of months are going to be being replaced on the truck. Again, I have the tie rod video started. I just need to edit it, and then I need to go back and do a little more because there's certain things I didn't capture in the video, and I want to make sure I'm showing you them. It is pretty simple to actually go look at it all. It's not bad. So you can probably piece it together without, but just how I did, I want to make sure I'm providing you guys with a high quality video that doesn't leave questions. But essentially, in the end, it is like 4 bolts or four nuts technically. So it's not a bad job at all. But I'll have links to I replaced all the tie rod end stuff with Moog, however you want to say it. I'll have affiliate links in those comments for all of the parts I used. I did purchase one wrong part, had to go walk down to Advanced Auto. Fortunately, it's only a half mile from my house, but wasn't thrilled about that. So I will make sure you guys do not make the same mistake I did. Let's see here. What else? Ball joints. I've used Moog in the past. I didn't really love them. I'm probably going to stick. I might use Moog. There's a good chance I'm just going to stick with factory on ball joints. Wheel bearings, Timken. The Timken is the same thing as the Motorcraft part. Motorcraft wheel bearings for Ford are made by Timken. So I just buy the Timken stuff. It's cheaper. It's about half price on some years. U-joints, I only use Spicer, which is the Ford factory stuff. There are a few differences in them. I do have Ford ones to get. I need to pick them up at Ford. They're expensive. Like the U-joints for my drive shaft, I need to do that video too. I did the drive shaft. But U-joints for that were like $35 a piece. They're like $90 for the front axle shafts. I have no idea why. You can get them a little cheaper online, but for just the ease of knowing it's the right one right from Ford, I chose to do that. What else is there here? I'm missing something. When you're doing the ball joint job, there's 2 seals. One is for your vacuum line for your auto hubs, you want to get a new one of them, and you want to get a new, it's basically a dust shield for the axle. And there's an installation tool for that as well. I'll be showing all of that in that video. And truthfully, watching that video, you will really pretty much be able to do the older suspensions too. But we're going to be doing all this work on Josh's truck, and probably my white truck is due for a little front suspension love. So we're going to have series basically working on 99 through 04 suspensions and 05 through almost current suspensions in the very near future. Controlled insanity. I've heard of people saying it is a, is there like a solenoid or a relay on the driver's side fender for four-wheel drive? I think there's that. I would check that for that issue. That is one perk to the manual stuff, is it just works. It's more durable. The electronic shift on the fly stuff has come along. Excuse me. Has come a long way, but it's still only so good. But so lots of cool stuff coming within the suspension stuff. And yeah, it's a little different. I know a lot of people like the mod stuff, and I love making those videos, but when you're talking practical stuff, Grant, I will answer that question in a second. When you're just talking practical stuff for your trucks, these videos in the long haul are gonna help a lot of people. That's why they're gonna be made. They are hard to make. I do want to say that. How-to videos, filming by yourself, or in the beginning, Josh and I did a lot of how-to videos, and it took us a while to, I don't know that we technically have it down pat yet, filming with each other, and one person thinks the other's ready, and it can be hard, so we're still trying to master that part. So when we do all these things, it's going to be a little bit of a work. Josh and I were actually talking when we do his truck about jacking up the whole front end and then racing to see who could finish disassembly and reassembly faster. Him do one side, me do the other. I think that would be kind of fun to do. But we have not gotten to the point of doing that yet, obviously, which we'll film, but we'll only do that if we can actually do a solid how-to video on it as well, which if my white truck needs it, then we'll be able to do that. Grant, XRF chassis parts. I think Josh may have used them once. I think that might be what he's running on his truck now. I've heard mixed reviews on them. I've heard some people hate them. I've heard some people love them. There's what's the one? Somebody sells a rebuildable track bar, or not track bar, a rebuildable ball joint. They're expensive, and I know some people swear by them, but by the time you could do 3 ball joint jobs by the time you've covered one of them. I don't think there's necessarily a payoff in that regard, but I do think those videos will do well. I'm excited to make them. Controlled insanity, I know, and there's only a few. There's another guy with a 6-liter that does. He has a cool build, and he's like videos. Left Lane Diesel, I think, has a cool channel that he's got. He's finally he has this amazing foundation of a build he did on his truck. But I think I just saw recently he's going to be upgrading injectors and turbo, and he has a regular cab 6-liter that's a drag build. And he started with this crazy build, and then he just kind of chilled out. He did all this cool stuff with a Colt stage. I forget what stage he did. He did a Colt cam. He has a built transmission, I believe. He has a lot of cool stuff. Then he went stock injectors in a Power Max. But now he is upgrading. So if you like the drag racing side of stuff, I think it's fun, and I plan to get back into it next year once the 6-liter is up and running and taken care of and healthy, and it's not the world's worst idea to drag race it again. Notice the emphasis on world's worst. I'm not saying it's a great idea, but he's got a cool channel for that stuff. And one of the things we really like doing over here is just providing, we have some impractical content as well, but stuff that'll help you guys, how to do a turbo, how to do Y pipes. Nick, how much power did he put down? I forget. The dyno he was on, I believe, was Diesel Doctors. I've been on their dyno. I felt it was pretty accurate for it. I made it like 503 on it. Mike, good to have you here, man. Controlled Insanity. That's a nice setup. 190 30s in stage 2. I mean, you're talking 580, 590 horsepower. Some people have hit 600 with that. 535. That's a nice. That's good power. He definitely has his truck running good. It's got the right size tires for his setup. It's a cool truck. Let's see here. Robert, I have not replaced cab mounts. My white truck needs them, but when they pull the cab, I'm gonna just have them do them. But if we do get around to it, we'll definitely film it. And depending on when the truck goes in the shop, I'll be able to actually show you how it's done. I can always probably get over and sneak a video of that happening once the cab's getting pulled on it. I'll talk with Greg. I stop in there every so often to say hi. Greg's a good guy. He's nice to talk to. But when I see him next, I'll ask him if we can maybe, when he pulls the truck in, if he can let me know so I can try to film that part of it. Yeah, he'll have a lift when he's pulling it, but if you take a jack and put basically a 2x4 in it, you'll be able to use that to lift your cab up enough to pull the mount out and slide the new one in place. What am I missing? Grant, are you talking about the XRF ball joints? They advertise a 1,000,000-mile warranty. I might have to look them up right now. XRF ball joints. I got a suggestion for you on putting the older style rubber ones instead of the foam. Won't deteriorate as fast. So for cab mounts, the one I'm looking at is S&B. S&B released a cab mount for the trucks, and that is, from what I hear, they are awesome. And that's what I plan to run on the truck when I replace mine, is to do the S&B setup. And they're not bad, they're pretty decently priced, if I remember right, compared to what a factory cab mount is. So bear that in mind, something to think about for if you're doing them. S&B has a nice setup, and I'm very happy with S&B products, all in all. Quick Tricks is one of the tuners I'd like to eventually review as well on the channel. I hear a lot. Gearhead, Quick Tricks, and Warren Diesel are, once I have the truck to be able to do that again, and those are kind of the 3 people up that I want to do. So William, I love Kill Devil Diesel products. I'm a big fan. Jared is the owner, and he's been super cool to talk to. Sorry, if only I had a drink right now. But I run Kill Devil Diesel iron heads on the truck, and the aluminum heads weren't quite out yet when I bought from him. And then I have his push rods, and he's the one that sold me a stage 2 cam. Now, depending on what's wrong with my truck when I go to tear it apart, if I need to get an engine, it'll be from Kill Devil Diesel. I'll probably do one of his custom grind cams in it as opposed to a Colt. Although I love the Colt cam. The Colt stage 2 cam is an awesome cam. In one of Keeter's engines, he ran a Colt stage 2 for a while. I don't know if he still does, but when I was talking to Jared, he was saying the stage 2 is what Keeter was running. So it's a very versatile cam from high horsepower to towing to daily street. It can do it all. So, but Kill Devil Diesel, he knows his stuff. He's continuing to be very innovative for the 6-liter. A truck that left production over 10 years ago. Well, I guess if you count the vans, it only left production 10 years ago. But he's doing some really cool stuff. And actually, I'm excited to see if I'm hoping he kind of ventures into 6.7 stuff down the road. I know he'll do cylinder heads if you send him the cylinder head. He'll go over them, O-ring them, and everything, which is super cool. But some of you guys may know that early 6.7s had a valve issue in them that was very common. I believe the material wasn't hardened. That's kind of how I found out about Jared at Kill Devil Diesel for that service. I knew about Jared back 2 years ago now when I started the build. The 6.0 is definitely, it's funny. I was looking up, so just a little bit of an idea of some of what goes into making this channel actually happen is I do a lot of time researching topics, and I was looking 6.0 Powerstroke is searched about twice as much as 6.7 Powerstroke is. I think that's crazy to think when you think the 6.7 is the current engine out. It spans a decade of production now versus the 6.0 Powerstroke, 6 years of production, and it's no longer current. It's current just because of how people are still bringing it back up. But when you really turn around and look at it, it's not that current of an engine anymore. It's old technology. It's a HUE, the hydraulically electrically actuated injector. It's old technology, but people love the 6.0, and not just for the sound, but it's a great engine. It's one of the last Ford engines you could really work on everything by yourself for the most part. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're going to do a lot of stuff on the 6.7 ourselves, but it's definitely more involved. It's a little more tedious. It's a little more intimidating to me because I haven't worked on it. The 6.0 is really where I learned to wrench on a truck. I don't think too much of the 6.7, what I want to do is out of my realm of doing, but I'll definitely be slower when I do it. But I want to do exhaust manifolds. I want to do a turbo, the whole intake piping setup we were talking about earlier for that truck. And again, the focus is still being on a towing vehicle, not a race truck or anything. I do think BD makes cool exhaust manifolds for it. Mild turbo upgrade from the guys at Turbo Time USA. So super excited about that stuff. But yeah, the Jared at Kill Devil Diesel is a good guy. I support him 100%, and I always recommend people to his products, whether it be his cylinder heads or he knows a 6-liter like few people. He really does know the insides and outs. And if I have to have an engine built for the truck, it will be from Kill Devil Diesel all day long. You will see the interview with 80-year-old man from Texas with over 1 million miles. That's insane. No one can afford a new 6. Dude, the new 6.7s are ridiculous. You want to buy a Lariat, you're talking $65,000 for a 250. That is stupid. There's a reason that I have a 5-year-old truck and not a brand new one, because I can't afford a brand new one either. And there's a reason I bought a 5-year-old truck with almost 90,000 miles that's been worked through and through that I have to fix a bunch of crap on because I couldn't afford a nice one. Asheville Engine has an amazing reputation online on the forums I see. I have not personally talked to them. I have looked at their stuff and it seems really, really nice. They have, I believe they have custom grind cams as well. And they seem to really know their crap too. I hear that they're pretty affordable, all things considered, for a build engine. So something to definitely consider with that. And yeah, while I would prefer a Kill Devil engine all day long, I don't think you're losing anything at all by going with Asheville. I've heard excellent things about them. I would buy from Asheville Engines. There's also Choate Engineering, makes a lot of cool stuff. Those are kind of the three top 6-liter builders right now. Kill Devil Diesel, Asheville Engine, and Choate Engineering are the 3 people that I would give a look if you're in the market. And I have looked at all 3. I haven't looked necessarily at prices for all 3. I know Asheville seemed very reasonable for their cost. Kill Devil Diesel, I don't know the other company's warranties, but Kill Devil Diesel has a 3-year unlimited mile warranty. That's pretty amazing if you ask me. But the aluminum head, somebody had referenced they flow more. I think the number is in factory form. So without a port job of any kind, they flow roughly 20% more than the iron head counterpart. And then, get them ported, you can flow even more, but just 20% in volume. When you're looking at the way the air travels through a 6-liter, the first restriction you get to is the intake manifold itself. Well, there's solutions for that out there now. And then it's the cylinder head itself is your next restriction. And the cylinder heads on a 6-liter in factory form are not known to flow very well. So your intake manifold followed by the cylinder heads are both restrictions. O-Dog Diesel, heck yeah, has the nicest intake manifold on the market. In fact, his product is so good that numerous other people stopped making ported intake manifolds. Once he released his cast design, basically everyone has fallen off the market. Like no one else makes one now. It's crazy. He just has that good of a product. The good old days. I mean, still 53,000 is a lot of money, but when you're talking a fully loaded 250 at 53,000, that means you're in an XLT for like 40 to 45. It's just crazy. New at some point the market for trucks, I think the automotive industry has gotten a little out of hand personally, when I look at these things, and I think at some point it'll all rebalance itself out. The housing market's done it too. I don't want to get too much into the political side of things because there's obviously some pretty significant politics at play there. Thanks, Clinton. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation to have, guys, for a different channel that talks politics, not this one. But what was I on here? Flow numbers. I forget what I was talking about. Nick, 100%. I mean, he just nailed it. I love the O-Dog intake on my truck. I saw lower exhaust temps. I had better throttle response. It's hard for me to comment on fuel economy because I did so much at one time between ported exhaust, manifolds too, just a refresh of everything. So there was a lot going on around that time of the truck build anyway. So, but he also makes ported intake manifolds for the 6.7. And I don't know how needed they are. I know I want them. Now, when I talked to Greg about this, Greg actually pulls the cab to do intake manifolds on 6.7s. He said he's done it with the cab down, but he said the time he wastes wrestling certain things out, he said it's just quicker for him to pull the cab and get it done, and he feels like he can do a better overall job of getting it installed. I don't know. I'd like to do all that stuff myself personally down the road someday, but we will see. Anyway, guys, I think I am going to just about end it here. This might be the longest live stream I've done. It's definitely up there. 2.5 hours. We'll call this another 6 minutes. We're going to hit 2:30 unless it really picks up again between now and the 2 hour and 30 minute mark. A Lariat's probably about 65 to 68,000 for a 350 fully loaded crew cab. A King Rancher Platinum, you're probably looking at 80, maybe even north of 80. I don't know. They're expensive. They're cool trucks, but they're just expensive. And dude, I can't justify that. I don't know who can. I would love to have one. I would think it would be super cool for the channel one day for me to be able to buy one of those vehicles, but that ain't anytime soon. That ain't anytime soon going to happen. Yeah, Nick, I'll finally get that drink that Josh stole from me. I don't know who invited him over, taking my alcohol. I mean, my ginger ale. That's all that was in there, ginger ale. So in closing, guys, what do you guys want to see on the channel? Josh has some cool stuff right now. He's got a 2016. I don't know if he actually said year. It's a 2016 Mustang GT. That's a cool truck. I'll take my 600 horsepower million-mile truck for less than 50. Dude, I hear that. Dude, I miss my 6-liter. Everyone I talk to thinks like, don't get me wrong, the 6.7's obviously giving me some frustrations. We're working past that. I do love the truck, but the 6.7 has, yeah, everyone thinks like I love that truck more than my 6.0. The people that like actually see me and I work with and stuff, I miss my 6.0 all the time. I can't wait to have that truck back. It's just fun to drive. And once I have the 6.0 back, or maybe I'll do a video, maybe Josh and I will do a video with his truck, but actually talking about, they drive very differently. Even though stock for stock, the 6.7 makes more. Yeah, about to check out. So when you come visit down south, hit me up. I want to see a tug of war between your 6.7 and the 6.0. William, I think there's I can't, the only reason I don't see them doing that, I agree with you. I would love to see them make the front of our trucks like an 18-wheeler, where you unlatch them, flip them forward, because it would make things easier to work on. But I don't think the big three really has ease of working on in mind. Because if you did that, I think it would empower more people to work on them at home. Or the people that got out of it because it was a pain in the butt would get back into working on them at home. And I really think they're trying to drive business back into the dealership. I have nothing to prove that, but I think there's a big argument for some of the things that they've done to prove that point. Robert, I don't think there will be a tug of war between a 6.0 and the 6.7 anytime soon. I did do a tug of war with the 6-liter and a 150 once, and I thought that was fun. I think you'd actually be surprised that the 150 and 4x4 in my truck and 2-wheel drive actually lost to the 150. Then I put my truck in 4x4 and I very easily won, but it was fun goofing around. People who don't need a truck to be a truck. Grant, is that what you want to see on the channel? People who don't need a truck to be a truck? Because that's going to be the white truck. Once the white truck is back, we're going to make more power with it. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. Now, the black truck is a tow build. That's all. Josh's 6-liter is a tow build. And actually, ideally, the goal is to make Josh's truck a tow build, do the tow build on the 6.7, and then compare them. I think that'd be really cool. Built for built, the 6.7 will probably take the cake. It's got the 6-speed transmission instead of 5. It's a more modern setup, but I bet everybody will be very, very shocked at how well the 6-liter does. The 6-liter is not irrelevant as far as work goes. The 6-liter is still a workhorse, and I think people will be very shocked at just how much a 6-liter can compete with a 6.7. Controlled Insanity, man, thank you. Especially lately as I do new content, I know not everybody is loving some of it. But one of my goals for 2020 is to release more videos this year than ever before. I want to release more videos this year than I've ever released in a single year. I want to do more live streams than I've ever done in a year. And basically, my goal is just to be a better channel for you guys. By me doing a better job at being a better content creator, it will give me the ability to provide, you know, the channel will make more money, allowing me to reinvest that money and make better content for you guys, whether that be in modifications. I'd love to do a giveaway. I want to do merchandise this year for everybody. So that is a goal. I don't know if I've said that on anything before, but in 2020, we're going to be releasing more content than I ever have done in a single year before. That is definitely my promise to you guys, and I will fulfill that. I was actually working on project before I lost light, and I didn't have the right size washers for it, but I was messing with something on the truck before I came in and threw in the hat. Now, I will say I am in school, so that definitely limits stuff, but I am working on making myself stick to a better schedule, so I'm able to actually make more videos by focusing on so I'm currently taking an online class. I know some of you guys don't care about this, sorry, but I know the one guy that might actually care, I'm going to say it. I'm going to it's an online class. I'm going to actually be going to school to focus, get it done in 2 days, then turn around and be able to spend more time making content for you guys. That is my goal. Don't mess around with school, get my crap done every week so I can put it away and turn around and focus on making content for you guys. So that's who spent $80K on a truck. A 4x8 trailer with a push mower on it because they're scared to scratch the bed. Dude, I hear that. I mean, that's one of the things with the newer truck. I'd be terrified for anything to happen to it. So, Nick, I'm glad you said that because that's actually something I really want to do. And so the only means I have of doing that at the time would be to make my dad come to the track and let me steal his tires. But I want you to know I plan to steal his tires maybe at some point. No, I'm just kidding about that point. I'm not going to steal his tires. But yeah, basically I need to have a second set of tires. Josh doesn't have stock size tires. I don't have stock size tires. So I need to find basically somebody that's willing to come out to the track and let me swap tires with them on the day I go racing. But when the white truck is back, that is something I want to do because with stock gears, I should be able to cut at least 2/10 of a second off by just going back down to a stock size tire. William, we lost compression in cylinder 8, I believe. I was just talking to Greg. He has the okay to pull it in the shop. He's just fitting it on the schedule. And he's going to find out what's wrong. My absolute best case scenario is that something failed in the cylinder head. That will be the quickest way for me to get the truck back up and running. Next best would be a piston cracked. And I mean, if a ring broke on it, it could have messed up the block. Not necessarily that it will, but it could have. He put a bore scope down in there after compression testing it. It didn't show anything, but he did say sometimes you won't see a crack in the piston through the bore scope. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see that. So he's going to be pulling the cylinder head shortly. Loosely a month. He's busy, and I did tell him like I'm in no rush right now. I do miss that truck every day, don't get me wrong. But so basically the plan is he's going to pull it in, take the cylinder head off, tell me if he sees anything. If it's a cylinder head issue, we'll get that resolved, in which case I'll probably have him pull the passenger side off and just redo them all. I might do new rocker arms in the whole thing and then probably put it back together. Ideally, I want to have a built engine for it. And basically the only way I see me being able to afford that in this lifetime is to, once that truck's up and running, whatever the issue is to actually sell the engine. That is one thing I'm considering. Basically race it one more year, sell the engine to finance the next one. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I have a lot of great plans, guys. It's just them coming together. but that is one thing I've thought about doing is selling the long block engine out of the truck if it's worth anything. It needs to obviously be something that I can feel confident selling to somebody and not feeling like I'm taking advantage of them, and then putting that money towards the next one. So something I've considered. I don't know if I'll do it or not, but something I'm considering. Grant, I don't know. I know. So I don't think it is on the intake side. I think it's on the exhaust side. So if it's a valve that's not working, I think it's on the exhaust side because it's smoking bad, like an injector failed. But I crammed a new injector in it. Warren Diesel was great with their warranty. I called them, told them everything. They asked how I verified it. I verified it at the shop. Greg hooked it up to his scanner, said, yeah, you're a cylinder down. And they sent me the new injector, and I crammed it in that weekend, only for it to still be doing the same thing. So my belief, if it's a intake or exhaust valve, or if it's a valve at all, I believe it's on the exhaust side because that's where it's smoking from. Typically, an intake valve stuck open will almost sound like a gun going off through your air intake. It'll push air back out the intake. So anyway, I don't truly know though. Lost compression when he was pulling out Chevy, Dodge, and a Toyota at the same time. This is what's upsetting about it, is it happened turning around. I was meeting Josh at the gym, and I didn't realize, but he was meant to meet him at the gym. I thought he wanted me to meet him at his house. And as I was turning around in his driveway is when it actually happened. So super, super frustrating, but it is what it is, man. You start pushing stuff to their limits and then you beat on it. Stuff happens. It could be a flaw in a casting of some sort. Don't get me wrong. But a weak compression spring or something would be my best absolute scenario. I don't think I'm that lucky, but that's what I would love to find out. That's the issue. I am happy at least like the piston isn't like beat up. He didn't see anything like that in the bore scope, so that's good. But we won't actually know what's wrong until he tears the cylinder head off and actually can look in there to see, to verify that there's no damage to the piston and that the rings seem to be in good condition, in which case would lead us to believe cylinder head, but who knows? If it's just the cylinder head and I can put it back together and everything looks good, probably what I'll do is I'll probably end up looking at selling that engine in the next year, and looking at putting that money towards having a engine built by Kill Devil and putting that in my truck. That is the supposed plan. I'm going to second what Josh said. I'm assuming he's been reading comments. I hope he saw the person. Someone said about wanting to see the car. Yeah, Nick. Nick, you want to see Josh's car on here? I mean, I won't take his drink and not provide him with a replacement. Nick, yes, he did. He pulled the valve cover, checked rocker arms were all in good shape. Then he did the compression test, and then he put the scope down into the cylinder to see if he could see anything. So it does stink. I hate to see the cab go up again on the 6-liter, but it looks like it's going to happen. I have to actually go over there and pull the oh crap. In the comments I go. Anyway, I got to go over and pull my Edge CTS2 cable out. We're going to hook that up in the 6.7. Oh, Mike Hunt, that is a loaded question. I've seen decent running 6 liters anywhere between, depending on cab configuration. Like you can get regular cabs, you can find them in rough shape for like $4,000, $5,000. In good shape for 8 to 10. Crew cabs, you can find them in the 15 to 20 range. Me personally, I'd have a hard time spending 20 for a truck this old, especially when I bought my white truck 8 years old at 22,000 with 73,000 miles on it. So the fact that people are asking 200,000 miles trucks in okay shape for $20,000 is just ridiculous to me. You called his Mustang a truck. My bad. His car. Nick, was that you that wanted to maybe see his car on the channel? I think it'd be cool to bring it on. Does Joe Rogan have really long podcasts or whatever he does? I guess I did mean to end this a little bit ago. Which, on that note, guys, I do think I am going to 6,800 for a kill dev. I know, and don't get me wrong though. 6,800 for that engine doesn't seem like a bad price to have a blueprinted engine. I think that comes with a stage 1 cam, which is slightly more aggressive than the factory cam. His O-ringed heads, new rocker assemblies, new pistons and rings, new connecting rods. Grant, dude, wow. Grant, I want to say thank you. Very much. You are our first super chat, man. So thank you very much for that. I am very, very appreciative of that. Thank you. Grant, I'm gonna have to do a video or something and throw your name out there for that. There's gonna be a video brought to you by Grant for that. Wow, that means a lot. It really does. Yeah, it's funny. I started. Sorry, I'm stuttering because I am truly touched by that. That does mean a lot. That kind of support. You are the first person to do that. I don't know if I've ever even advertised that we have super chat enabled, but yeah, seriously, Grant, thank you so much for that. I know that might seem like something small to you, but that means the absolute world to Josh and me that you did that. I feel like I need to suck it up for another 17 minutes and hit the 3-hour mark just for that. So we're gonna go for 3 hours because Grant did a super chat. Thank you so much, man. Wow, Grant, I need to make sure I write your name down here because you're gonna get a big shout out in a video for the channel here. So let me compose myself again here. Thank you. So I can't even remember what the heck I was. The Kill Devil diesel cylinder heads. At $6,800, you're getting, while it is a lot of money, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not. That is a lot of money for an engine. But you're getting, I do think you get a lot for what you're spending there. New connecting rods, pistons, rings, the rocker arms. That's a lot. A fully blueprinted engine, everything's balanced rotating assembly. That is awesome. Brandon Goldsby, what turbo is on the 6.0? So it is a Garrett GT37 turbo. I believe I can't remember if it's an 82 or 88. I think it's an 82 and the 88 may have been the Power Max, but it's a 37 series turbo from Garrett. So depending on year, the early 6.0s had a 59 millimeter inducer on the compressor side, and it's a 66 millimeter inducer on the turbine side, I believe. I believe it's exducer. I get them mixed up. You have a couple different measurements on the turbo compressor and turbine wheels, but anyway, so, and it's a 10 blade turbine housing. When you go to late 04, which would be Josh's truck, you still have the 59 millimeter compressor wheel, but they went to it's slightly shorter. It's not as overall, like the length of it's not as long, but it's the same size exducer and inducer on the turbine compressor or turbine wheel. But you go to a 13 blade. He might have been paying you to shut up. I don't think that was it, Josh. Not at all. So you added 3 wheels to it, which will increase your back pressure slightly, aiding in faster spool up for that setup. And then turn around, and the 05 and newer through finish of the production run ran a 56 point something millimeter compressor wheel, and still the 13 blade turbine housing, but it was slightly smaller. I don't know the measurement off the top of my head for that. So those are the 3 factory turbos that came on the 6.0. Mike, injectors are not included. So things that aren't included on the long block. I don't believe you get valve covers, your high pressure, your intake manifold, your high pressure oil pump, the oil filter housing and fuel filter housing, the oil cooler setup. None of that's on there. So basically it's the bottom end of the engine through most of the top end, but like all the accessory stuff is not there. So you'll need your high pressure oil logs, you'll need the dummy plug stand pipes, the rails that go off of your the branch tubes, that's what they're called, branch tubes off your high pressure oil pump to the fuel logs. And injectors aren't in there either. So none of that stuff is there. Grant, seriously, thank you so much. It really does mean the world to me and Josh that you felt we deserved that, because seriously, that does mean a lot. Thank you for everything, and please, I see you say we deserve more, but you're poor. I disagree, man. But thank you so much, and that's huge to us. I really mean that. I hope my response doesn't come off as disingenuous, because it does truly mean the world to Josh and me. I haven't even really gotten to talk to Josh. Just seeing his comments about it, it means a lot to the channel as a whole. And you're going to be getting a shout out in the next video that comes out for that, because it just means the world. But anyway, so that's what's included in the Kill Devil Diesel long block. Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for jumping in, saying you love the channel. We appreciate it. It's what we're here for. Make good content. What truck do you have? Are you one of our subscribers that has a 6.0 and you found us, or did you just find us from some of the dumb stuff we do? Mainly Josh doing the dumb stuff, obviously, since I know Josh is still in here and he hasn't gone to bed yet. But thank you for the support. And thank you all for the support, especially, there's 9 of you guys still hanging out with us. We have almost 3 hours into a live stream that we're going to be hitting a full 3 hours because of Grant. But let's see here. We'll talk until there's another question here or comment. Let's talk practical towing upgrades for the 6.0. So, as I mentioned earlier, airbags are my #1 favorite towing modification. Mike, alls we ask is time to watch, man. I don't want to ask anybody for money or anything, and I appreciate you saying that we deserve way more. Truly, means the world to us. That any of you guys feel like that on top of watching the ad revenue we get, that you guys feel we deserve anything more than that. So thank you for your support. We're just glad that you guys come and watch our videos and hang out in these live feeds. These live feeds are fun. Seriously, they are. Especially these long ones. Just know I pay the price in my voice because somebody took my drink that I had ready for myself. But no, that you guys just coming and hanging out means the world to us. Again, thank you though, Grant. That I'm just taken back from that. Mike, I hear you though. I hear you, brother. On these vehicles definitely are expensive to mess around with. Man, dude, thank you for the subscribe and for checking out the videos. Dude, we really appreciate it, and let us know if you ever have questions on anything that we can help with. Please drop them on any of our videos, and we do our best to get back to everybody. And I think we have a pretty good response rate. Typically, almost everybody gets a response. Grant, yes. The front cover is on there, and the low pressure oil pump is in there. I do know you can upgrade to a billet low pressure oil pump, and that's going to be that's a nice leadway into another thing about oil pumps. So, when to do a billet low pressure oil pump on a 6-liter? So, if you're going to be switching to a different dampener, like the ATI dampeners, you're going to want to consider switching. It's a good dampener, but it's known to blow out the factory low pressure oil pump. It's not strong enough to handle it. Actually, Greg did that on his truck. He destroyed it. Then the other thing is, if you're talking builds that are into the 600s, in my opinion, 600 horsepower 6-liter is about your stopping point for the factory low pressure oil pump. You're making enough power. It's a worthwhile upgrade at that point. I feel like not a lot of people hang out in the 600 to 700 horsepower range. I feel like people go from 600 and jump into like 750, and that's when people start pushing it more. Because 600 horsepower is relatively practical. I shouldn't say practical. It's relatively easy to obtain in a 6.0. It takes some money, but it can be done. I feel like people go from that into like 750, 800 horsepower builds from there. And then you definitely need the billet low pressure oil pump. I'm not saying you can't get one to survive a long time, but at that point, it's worthwhile insurance to have a billet one. You have an 03 studs, new heads, KCU stage 1 turbo, Warren Diesel 1. Warren Diesel has headers. Dude, I didn't know that. That's cool. I really didn't know that. That's the first. I mean, I try to stay up to date on most of the 6.0 Powerstroke products, and I'm starting to kind of learn some of the 6.7 stuff out there, but that's cool. I wasn't aware they did that. Dude, that's a nice tow build on your truck. I mean, that's a BD. Okay, I love the BD manifolds. I run them on my 6.0, and I'm going to probably get BD manifolds down the road for my 6.7. Dude, that's a really, really nice tow build. I mean, like talking tow builds that is purpose built, that's probably one of the nicest setups I think anybody can run right there, man. One thing to look into, I did notice some increase with a CSF intercooler. I have a video out on that. I run their 6028, which is a big intercooler for the 6.0 Powerstroke, and I think you'd love that if you haven't upgraded your intercooler. One thing, the plastic end caps can break. On an 03, you should have both metal intercooler pipes, so you should be good there. Anyone make low pressure oil pump pickup filters to prevent the rear crank no start? Mike, can you say this again? I don't quite understand that question, man. Oh, nice. You already watched the intercooler video. It's a nice piece. Now, if you're, I will say you probably have to kind of pull your transmission cooler. You'll have to kind of bend the brackets a little to move it forward because it does ride right on top of it. But they do make just a factory sized replacement that you won't have that issue. And it's super cheap. It's like 250-ish, 220, something like that for the factory replacement. And that'll fit perfect. The 6028 was easy to install. Again, the only thing you need to really do is you kind of need to bend the brackets on your transmission cooler to pull it forward a little bit so it doesn't rest right against it. Oh yeah, the Banks one's outrageous. I mean, it's a cool setup because you get that plus the intercooler pipes, but then those intercooler pipes don't always fit with other things. Like it limits your alternator choices if you want to run an upgraded alternator. And it's just a disaster. So there's that. I mean, I do think the Banks one's is a good setup, and I think Banks has nice stuff. If there's a Banks product I would buy for the 6-liter, it would be their intercooler and pipe setup. But I don't think it's necessarily that much better than what I have. I'm running a No Limit Fab cold side pipe, an MBRP hot side pipe, and then the CSF intercooler. And I love that setup so much. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now, Mike. I'm not aware of anyone making that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just not aware of anyone making it. I have heard of issues like that before. To my knowledge, no. Man, I'm sorry. But not a bad idea. I don't know how you would do it in that truck. Like, I don't know how it would be a practical way to route that all and everything, but good idea at least. But yeah, 6028 is the part number for the CSF intercooler. 22801. Grant, is that for the, what is it, a 6013 or something, or 6018 is basically their factory replacement one from CSF. But the 6028 you can find on eBay for like, I think I paid 500 for something somewhere in there. Compared to any other upgraded one, I mean, that's a fraction of the cost. If you even tell me the 6028 right now is 228 online, I think I might buy another one. I didn't see a difference in boost. I felt like overall the truck did run more efficiently. I saw a slight decrease in temp. Now we're going back a pretty good time. It's hard for me to remember what it is, but I did see a decrease in temperature slightly, and that was just with factory injectors. I didn't even have upgraded ones at that point. I mean, now on a race tune, full throttle down the quarter-mile track, I'll see, and I didn't have my bigger turbo one. That was just a Power Max turbo, but I'll see like, I think I've hit 1700 degrees. Which for a split set, like if you're just doing it down the quarter mile, you're fine. You're not going to melt anything. I mean, don't shut your truck right off. I always, you have the rest of the track where you're braking, and by the time you're at the end of the track, your temps are back down. And I always let it run for like 10 minutes after I do a run down the track, just to make sure everything cools out nice, because it definitely gets hot. But, well, guys, we are in the last minute here of the live stream. I think this might be the longest live stream ever. Please, everybody, give Grant a shout out. Well, that's one thing. Peace of mind over the factory one. We have a friend that had a 6.0 with a dually, and he blew the intercooler out on it while towing. All right, I'm going to try to say this super fast since we're almost done. I have 1A auto tow mirrors on my truck, and Josh ran an eBay special Now mine do have the power fold feature, but I also spent a lot more money. Josh loves his from eBay, and I think they're like $150 to $170 somewhere in there. So, and they work great. They work perfect. I think I did link some to Amazon on that video. I don't know though. But if you have any more questions about it, comment on any one of the videos and I will get back to you guys. Everybody, thank you for coming into the live feed. It means the world to me. Thank you for hanging out for 3 hours hanging out in here. Had to check the box. It's still in the garage. Hey guys, thank you all so much. If there's anything I can do for you guys, drop a comment in the video. You don't have to wait for a live feed to ask for advice. Hit me up on Instagram if you need it. Anyway, guys, thank you again. I will talk to you all soon. Grant, again, means the world, man. Thank you so much. Have a good night, guys.